There's a lot of focus on Amari Cooper. That's who I think all of us wanted initially for them to trade for. Then they really centered on Deontay Johnson for a little while.
I'm still interested in Deontay Johnson for what it's worth.
And then it's like, well,
I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, then you could still get Demarcus Robinson if you had to. Okay. By the way, still would do that in a week and a half from now or so. That was the focus. And we all were like, well, I guess DeAndre Hopkins maybe just not going to get traded. And not really hear anything, very quiet. Brett Veach literally working in the night, behind the scenes, to pull this thing off. DeAndre Hopkins, it'll be official hopefully later today. But by all accounts, DeAndre Hopkins is a member of the Kansas City Chiefs. Listen to some of the details from Ian Rappaport.
It has been a long rumored deal that now is happening. Sources say DeAndre Hopkins, the star receiver for the Tennessee Titans, is in the process of being traded to the Kansas City Chiefs. The champs continue to load up. Another day, another big-time receiver moves. It has certainly been a season full of them. We've seen Devontae Adams. We've seen Amari Cooper. Now DeAndre Hopkins is the latest. My understanding is this is in exchange for a fifth-rounder that could become a fourth-rounder. The two sides are still going back and forth now on salary. My understanding is the Titans are going to pay some of DeAndre Hopkins' base salary for this year just to make it easier for the Chiefs to withstand the salary. But this trade is expected to happen. So KC has lost Hollywood Brown. Juju Smith-Schuster not going to play this week. But DeAndre Hopkins is expected to be there. You're right. This has been a long rumored trade. But listen to how fast it happened. It has been nothing but rumors till about, I would say, midnight last night, Kansas City time. The two sides got together. They kind of threw hypotheticals back and forth. By about 5 or 6 in the morning, today it became clear that a deal would happen, expected to be finalized soon. D-Hop going to join the Chiefs.
There's the details there. Late into the night. Throwing out hypotheticals like we would, It's midnight.
What do you think?
We joke about...
What if I gave you a fourth? Would that,
We joke about Bink texting us different things. It was like Binkley texting us, late in the evening about what do you think about this move or whatever. Same thing. Brett Veach, I don't know who the hell the GM is over there in Tennessee. They've changed hands in the last year or so. That GM in Nashville, we're going to go out to Nashville, by the way, an hour from now and check in on their perspective with the trade. But that trade did literally happen in the middle of the night.
The thing I like the best about it is what we discussed yesterday. Because I'll be honest, if you'd give me the choice between the compensation of Amari Cooper, I'd probably choose that. If you give me the choice of if Deontay Johnson was available, because maybe I go that way, we'll see. But the thing I like about it the most is the simple thing. Yesterday I said it would be malpractice to go into this game on Sunday with the wide receiver unit they had. If anyone read Nate Taylor's article over in The Athletic, and I'm sure some of you did, as a regular guest on the show, they were about to walk into a game with 310 total yards this season in 6 games out of the wide receiver unit. That was going to be unacceptable. You couldn't walk in the rest of the season. You had to make a move soon. I was tired of the deadline's 2 weeks away. Things can take their time. No. Not when you're down to nobody. Not when Juju had already been ruled out for Sunday. You had to make some decisions. So they instantly got significantly better. I don't have to give you any stats. I don't have to tell you how he'd probably be their leading wide receiver this season, even though he's missed time or has been hurt part of the time. It's an instant upgrade, an immediate upgrade. They needed this, and they're now better today because of it.
Yeah, I don't think you want to bring up stats because the stats aren't really impressive. That's not the story. We're going to talk
but he would still be the best receiver on this team.
I'd say 173 yards. Yeah, we'll talk about the reality of who he is as a player still and who he isn't maybe anymore. But the fact is, from a pure number standpoint, they had to go and make a move. And they didn't just go get the lowest guy on the totem pole. They went out.
They didn't go get D-Rob.
They got DeAndre Hopkins, who we'll talk about. Even if he's 75 or 80% of himself, is still a massive upgrade. They got the best of both worlds, though. This, to me, should appease no matter what side of a fan you are on this. We have gotten text and phone calls over the last couple weeks. There's a fraction of Chiefs fans that were like, trade whatever it takes. There was some that said,
sell your soul.
The 5th round pick is the most valuable thing I've ever heard. So I think this is the best of both worlds for those that don't want to mortgage the future, but for those that also recognize, hey, history is on the line here. You're going for a three-peat. This wide receiver room was down at one point in the game on Sunday to Hardman, Moore, and Watson. That just can't happen.
And Worthy.
No, I said at one point because Worthy got it.
Yeah.
That's what yes.
Yes.
You got me. We're on the same page. So the Chiefs got the best of both worlds because they were able to help the immediate while also not mortgaging the future. Cody, it's a conditional fourth. It's a fifth-round pick, and I think depending on what the final terms are, maybe becomes a fourth if they go to the Super Bowl. Oh, what a shame if they would have to give up that fourth-round pick instead of a fifth-round pick. That's why I like this trade. They didn't have to give up a day one or a day two pick to go and make this team better. Now, are there concerns with his health and things like that? We're going to go out to Nashville at 11. There's been some reporting that he has maybe a partially torn MCL that he has not gotten surgery on. The reason why I'll tell you I'm not as concerned about the injury maybe as some others, and I don't know where you're at on this, Cody, is if it was the point where he couldn't play or couldn't be productive, well, the Chiefs wouldn't let him pass the physical, which is required. We've always joked about he's going to get traded pending a physical. If a team wants you to pass the physical, they'll pass you in the physical. So
Sure.
they're clearly not concerned about it, especially given the compensation they're giving up.
That's what it is. No concern over the injury? I'm not there.
Yeah.
Definitely not there. They've already lost 2 wide receivers for seemingly the entire season. Maybe Hollywood Brown comes back later in the year, according to some reports. Juju Smith-Schuster is now out for what seemingly will be weeks.
Yeah.
Right on that end. So they don't really have the depth to handle more wide receiver injuries. So do I like trading for an injured guy? No. But at 32 years old, I don't know. It was Kevin Clark was just tweeting about this 10 minutes ago as it relates to Aaron Rodgers, and this is probably also true. Keith Traylor, not the guy who just got called up from the Chiefs practice squad, the original Keith Traylor here in Kansas City. He had once, Kevin Clark said he was standing in a locker room, and he was like, he was limited in practice today. He said, I'm 38. I'm always limited. I think at some point, wide receiver at his age, DeAndre Hopkins, is probably playing with some version of a minor injury all the time. All I needed out of them was, and I mean, based on the type of wide receiver we were asking for, what did we say yesterday? So, well, they don't need MVS. They need a guy who can go over the middle, a guy who can get a first down on 3rd and 6, a guy who can run a correct route on 3rd and 9. I mean, that's pretty much what you just traded for. He's not. Yeah. I don't think he's a superstar anymore. I don't think he's old DeAndre Hopkins anymore. But a year ago, on a pretty bad Titans team with nobody's throwing to him, he managed to get to 1,000 yards still, and he's going to be a target monster here. He's going to be a volume shooter at the very least here because they got no one else looking to eat up all these targets.
Right. Even if you're skeptical because of his age, because of the injury concern, and I think we're all recognizing that, yeah, this isn't like trading for him in 2020 or signing him in 2021. Nobody, I think, is suggesting that. But because of the situation in Tennessee where Will Levis was throwing him the football this season, and that's all I need to say. You know there's going to be at least some improvement just because it's Mahomes and it's Andy Reid, who is as creative as they come. And, they don't need DeAndre Hopkins to be the guy that's run down the field 40 yards. They need the guy that is the Rashee Rice routes. That's what Juju Smith-Schuster did against the Saints. That's why he had such a massive day. It was wide open underneath. They need DeAndre Hopkins to be able to execute, and he's a veteran, so he can, those underneath routes, inside routes, red zone targets, that kind of stuff. That's what they're looking for from DeAndre Hopkins. Eventually, later on in the year, they might get Juju Smith-Schuster back, maybe 3 weeks from now or 2 weeks from now, something like that. But this is a huge addition to this team, even if we all recognize it's not like they're getting the guy that got once, 1,700 yards.
What I like about Brett Veach and the way he's handled these, now, I mean, he's traded for a wide receiver in 3 straight years. So part of that is you might want to start drafting some of these dudes rather than just give up a third, and a fifth in each of the last 3 years to try to acquire wide receivers.
In 2 straight years, they have drafted Rashee Rice and Worthy.
Sure. But I was like, I mean, you have to double up, I guess is the argument I'm making. But yes. But what I like about it is he's never been afraid to do it when it was clearly needed. Like in the previous time, some of those were closer to the trade deadline.
Yes.
Because they weren't in a hurry on McCole Hardman, right? They didn't have to get him off. They didn't need to get him on the team right now. They didn't need him this second. They had an identity. They knew what they were doing. Yeah, this was a good addition. We know that our wide receiver unit's weaker, but, we got Rashee Rice developing. We'll kind of make these things work. This was a more desperate situation. They were getting ready to walk into a game on Sunday with, I don't know, do you think that the combined career yardage of Sky Moore, Justin Watson, Xavier Worthy, and McCole Hardman equals even the 2 best years of DeAndre Hopkins combined? The career yardage.
Right, yeah.
Justin Watson got 1,100 career yards. Xavier Worthy's got 200. McCall Hardman probably has a couple thousand, and Sky Moore has like 4 career yards, I think, roughly. And so it's like 400, I don't know. But when you look at where they're at, this adds an element to their offense they simply didn't have. And look, the truth is, I think the Chiefs have thought he's a fit for their offense for years. The reason why I know that is they tried to recruit him as a free agent a couple of years ago. They've tried to trade for him in previous years. And while they would have been willing to give up more to get DeAndre Hopkins in the building as a fit earlier, the compensation versus what they needed never lined up. A fifth? I'll just be honest. I'd have given him a fifth for almost any wide receiver. I mean, just any wide receiver on the street. I'd have almost given up a 5th-round pick for. I don't care about a 5th-round pick. So to get DeAndre Hopkins for it feels like a great deal. 4th, if it turns into a Super Bowl, like you said, who cares?
Right. I mean, we thought it would take a 5th or a 6th or something like that potentially for a Demarcus Robinson or a Deontay Johnson or a Darius Slayton. So to get Hopkins, and I think, by the way, there's a reason why you're getting him for a 5th, though. That's what we're saying, like balancing the expectation with still recognizing it's a huge upgrade for this team and a necessity. But you're getting him for a 5th because he's now, 32 years old. He is coming off of an injury. This year hasn't really been on the field that much. That's why you're getting him for a 5th. So it's not like you're getting for a 5th for no reason. There's a reason why his compensation has dipped.
Because he's older.
But for this team, for what they're going to ask him to do, it's a great thing. Not to mention, I do think there's just an element of, hell, I'll be honest, like just driving into work, and we host a radio show. We're not playing. I had an extra pep in my step. If you're DeAndre Hopkins, you're hopping on a plane today. You got to be a little more excited anyway.
You skip a little.
How could you not? You were getting passes from Will Levis. Now you're on a team that can complete your career. You don't have a ring yet, DeAndre Hopkins. You've had a great career. You're going to enter the Hall of Fame one day, but you don't have the ring. You don't have the ring, and now you got a chance to get a ring and also do it on a team that might make history. How does that not also push you through if you're dealing with an injury? How does that not push you through? The effort, I have no question the type of effort or anything like that you're going to get from DeAndre Hopkins.
So, you just have to be a great player.
Yeah. I'm just saying, though, it could be easy to, all right, my team's 1-5, and I've got freaking Will Levis or Mason Rudolph throwing me the football.
Hamstring feels a little extra tight this week. Knee feels a little extra sore this week. I'll take a couple of times off. I will say, based on the only thing that is, surprising about this to me. I'm not surprised they traded for a wide receiver.
Right.
I'm not surprised DeAndre Hopkins was one of the receivers that 1 million people have listed. This is the antithesis of the style of wide receiver that Andy Reid likes. It always seems, to be honest, far more likely that Andy Reid would trade for a guy who was 5'6".
Tutu Atwell.
190 pounds or 170 pounds who runs a 4.4 40 than a big-bodied catch with his hands wide receiver. This actually seems different than the type of wide receiver Patrick Mahomes has ever had. What's the closest he's had to this style? DeMarcus Robinson when he was the 4th receiver on this team? Because he kind of plays that style of football? I mean, this isn't the type of guy he goes for. Maybe Juju this year, they've kind of molded him into that a little bit. I feel like he is still slightly different. It's the one thing I've always wanted to see to this offense is the sideline throw that every other team does where it's 20 yards down the field and they just back shoulder it. It's this is the kind of player you can do that to.
Yeah, it's his red zone target, Drew, and specifically the last couple of years we've highlighted the ability to track the football. And they haven't had somebody that was capable of tracking the football at the DeAndre Hopkins level since Tyreek Hill. He's the last member of this Chiefs wide receiver room that can truly track the football well. It's been an issue for McCall Hardman. Rashee Rice has been great, but they're not asking him to do that kind of thing. We haven't seen Hollywood Brown in this offense. I don't know if we ever will, maybe at the end of the season. So that is the element they haven't had, and that might be the most exciting part of this. Yes, he can run the underneath crossing routes, and he's a intelligent, veteran, smart football player, but he can track the ball and utilize his skill set. He doesn't have to be 6'3". Yeah, he's only 6'1". It's not like they're getting a 6'4" target. But he's 6'1", and he can track the ball, so he plays taller than 6'1". And that is what you're describing, Cody, a little bit, and that's what is exciting about DeAndre Hopkins.
I mean, we talk about wide receivers like they're a power forward. 6'1's a pretty good-sized wide receiver. 6'1 to be, a short point guard. He's not playing small forward. I get it. There are guys like Jamar Chase and Jamar Chase is 6'1", right? So he's always Justin Jefferson. We think of those as being these big-bodied, tall wide receivers. All those guys are 6 foot. The 6'4" guys, they exist in this league, but there aren't that many Randy Mosses floating around here. 6'5", 6'6". He's taller than every other wide receiver probably on their roster. Like, I mean, in all reality, MVS was the last 6'4" wide receiver they had.
I feel like, yeah, the comp for like what he's done in his career and like the type of guy is like more like Justin Jefferson because they're both 6'1". Like you throw the ball up, DeAndre Hopkins is going to he can go and get the ball. Like it's not only tracking, it's I need to outjump this defender.
It just takes
he can do it.
It takes heat off of Travis. It takes heat off of Xavier Worthy. It makes these guys like they found a good like the one thing I'll say about the Chiefs offense, which I think is an extreme compliment, is they know exactly who they are. Like we might not like the way they look on offense sometimes. It might not be aesthetically pleasing all the times. But is anybody questioning whether or not the Chiefs have an identity on offense? Because they clearly have that. They know how they run the ball. They know how they pass the ball. They know the areas in which they are successful. The only place in which it seems like they're sometimes guessing is the red zone. They move the ball about as well as any team in the NFL from the 20 to 20. They know who they are. So fitting DeAndre Hopkins into what they are is just saying, be Juju. Not we're changing our offense. Not we're doing something different. Hey, remember what Juju was doing for 1 week? Just do that. Those under crosses, these things, you're going to take stuff. Kelsey's going to take some attention away from you. Worthy's going to go down the field deep. We're going to make this easy for you, DeAndre. But, I mean, they have an identity. Like, whether we love it or not, they have an identity.
Yeah, and I think we're all saying kind of the same thing. Just when we were talking about contested catches, ball tracking is part of that in order to get a contested catches. So we're kind of saying the same thing when we're discussing that, however we want to phrase it. But this is I think surprising news only because it was quiet on the Hopkins front. I know we played the audio of Ian Rappaport saying this was a long rumored trade. I actually disagree with that.
In previous years, I think.
Yeah, like sure, but it's not like in the last week there's been a ton of noise on the Chiefs trading for DeAndre Hopkins. They were interested, as you pointed out, in an offseason a year or so ago, but the Titans were willing to, we thought, overpay at the time for him. But in terms of like, so I guess long rumored in that regard, but it's not as if the reports have been, the Chiefs are really keying in on DeAndre Hopkins. In fact, yesterday, all the noise from Diana Rossini and everybody else was about who? Cooper Kupp. That was where the noise was, that the Chiefs are really searching, or I should say,
have had
conversations and leaning into the possibility of Cooper Kupp, and they want a second-round pick, which we know was never going to happen for the Chiefs to go with a second-round pick for Cooper Kupp. Thank goodness, by the way. I don't think any team's given up a second-round pick. But that was what was surprising. I woke up this morning, as I'm sure you checked Twitter fairly early on, and you're like, wait, okay, here we go. I saw Bob's tweet, and it happened right before their show. And so I was like, well, this is actually happening. They're going to go out and get DeAndre Hopkins. We'll talk plenty about the maybe concern on the injury front when we go out to Nashville at 11 o'clock, because I think it's a fair conversation. What is realistic? What's realistic for this Sunday as well against the Raiders? Reports are that Hopkins is flying into Kansas City this afternoon. Who knows? You and I might see him at the airport. We can go all TMZ style at the airport. Maybe he will be leaving the gate.
You're just going to bombard the man with cell phone video?
We're going to leave the gate. He'll be leaving the gate that we're entering, maybe, this afternoon, right at KCI.
I mean, I guess I'll take a picture of him if that's what happens.
Yeah.
But he's not coming from that area? I guess I don't actually know where the plane's coming from. That's a great point. It could just be he flew in from Nashville. I'm guessing he's flying on. Did he fly on like a jet? Or is he just like coming to the airport?
I don't know, man.
How's that work? Do you send the jet for a 32-year-old wide receiver making $4 million for your team?
I think this will use the air share. One of those
Mahomes
companies
sends it out.
Well, not be, but just one of those companies. A little air share. You got some air share. Something like that.
Okay. I'm just asking. I don't know what the protocol is.
I don't know if it's the same. Here's the reason why it probably is a private jet. They want him in here ASAP, as in, please.
They need him at practice this afternoon.
We need you. Like, we already sent you the I don't know how that works because they're all on iPads now with the playbooks, but we already sent you the encrypted playbook, man. You're not there waiting for you. You're already reading that thing on the flight. I would hope that they already we're not waiting for you to get in to hand you the playbook on the iPad. We're gonna find a way to securely send you the playbook right now.
Something tells me when you've been a wide receiver in this league for 10 years, picking up a playbook is not the challenging part. Okay, just tell me, you call it route ZF and I call it RZ, got it. But the same thing is okay, I'll figure it out. Like, there is some part of that where I know that they'll take a little bit of time to kind of get used to each other because that's the way kind of the balance of this works. But the thing is like someone like Charts, right? We'll have him on tomorrow and someone's gonna be like, should you be starting him in fantasy football? who else is getting the ball? That's a very real question I would ask you. If not him, then who?
Yeah, maybe not Sunday. I don't know about this Sunday.
I think on Sunday.
We'll see. I mean, he's gonna play on Sunday, it sounds like, but is it a limited package? I mean, how much can you know of the offense in 3 days?
You're saying he might have an Amari Cooper-like impact, Cody.
Amari Cooper was traded on Tuesday last week. They played Sunday night, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he
had
Sunday afternoon.
He had 4 for 60 and like a touchdown.
Yeah.
And the touchdown, reportedly, he didn't run the right route. Like Josh Allen was like, no, it's not there. Don't, well, whatever. But that's also the kind of quarterback that Mahomes is. Mahomes is also, he has been in the league. Amari Cooper, too. Like, guys like that can step off the street and play football for your team. Like, I know it's complicated to learn an NFL playbook, but I think the jump from college to NFL playbook is mostly when we're talking about that. If you've been in the league for 10 years, there isn't some mystery. Like, the language says slightly different things, but isn't slightly different things.
I think he's going to play on Sunday, but he's not going to just have 100% full access of the playbook. You know what I mean? There's no way.
I wonder what a touchdown bet would be. That might be
could he have three catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown? Yeah. I mean, I guess what are we talking about, the difference between you and I on this? I think he's going to play and have a package. Like, do I think he's getting 10 targets, Cody? No, I don't know if that's what you're saying. You're thinking he's getting. I don't think his first game he's getting 10 targets. I think eventually
7 or 8.
I think eventually he's getting 10 targets a game. Absolutely.
He might be getting 15 a game at the end. Again, they have no one else in the wide receiver unit who requires targets. Everyone else is a 2 to 3 target person.
You're saying he's going to be.
This is where though, I think we have to balance expectation long term. He is 32 and he's partially injured. I don't think he's getting 15 targets a game. The goal is still to keep him available for the playoffs as well. It's the same thing applies that we've talked about with everybody else.
Yeah, there's some truth to that.
But can you get 10 targets a game eventually? Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Sky Moore's a 0-target receiver. McCole Hardman's a 2-target receiver. Xavier Worthy's a 5-target receiver, probably now that things are looking a little bit different.
I mean, they just ran the ball 40 times
Justin
last
Watson
week.
has been a 1-target receiver.
15 is obviously being hyperbole. There's only one player in the NFL who averages 10 targets a game this season, and his are getting ready to go down because it's Garrett Wilson. And presuming Devontae Adams will take some version of that. Actually, there's a few. Malik Neighbors averages 12.
I hear he's pretty good.
CeeDee's got a lot too, normally.
And he's only 9.2. But I do think that he's going to be in that range. Like the T. Higgins, 9 targets a game. Drake London, 8.9. Godwin was at 8.9. Like, I think he's in that range because the other guys just don't require that kind of target share. And unless all of a sudden this opens up everything for Travis Kelce, the guy who used to have that kind of target share for this team, they're going to throw at DeAndre Hopkins a lot. Good. And yeah, I do want him healthy for the postseason and all the other things. I think the simplest way to guarantee yourself that is to keep winning football games to guarantee yourself a bye. Then you get to tinker and mess around with and screw at the end of the season a million different ways.
Yeah, he's gonna have an opportunity to have a huge impact. When you're looking at the offense, though, and dividing up the targets, all I'm saying is they just ran the ball 40 times in a game. So this is not adding him to the 2018 offense where they're going to have Mahomes throw it 38 times. Like, that's just not what they've been doing.
No, I don't think Hopkins coming in, they're going to throw it 40 times.
I mean, I also don't think they're running it 40 times a game, but Kareem Hunt's getting 23 carries a game. That's basically what they've been willing to do. So they're not asking. He doesn't even have to come in and be the guy that's getting 10 targets a game. There's a chance that that's what he might be at some point, but he can be a 7-target guy, give you 4 catches that are meaningful and a touchdown in the red zone every week or every other week, and you're feeling great about the acquisition. I don't think you should put nearly as much on his plate as this is not bringing him in 2020. Both from his own point of view, from where he's at, and from where the offense is at.
I don't even know if you can grade this type of a trade because obviously, if they don't win the Super Bowl, you could say, well, the trade failed, but they had to.
That's how the last 2 trades went. We have to go through the argument of technically, statistically, neither trade worked over the last 2 years, but they won the Super Bowl in each of the 2. So who cares?
I mean, even
I don't care.
I feel like they're in a position where they had to make it. They had to do something. So even if they make it to the Super Bowl and they lose in the Super Bowl, it's not a fail of a trade because they had to do it to get there in the first place. I don't know. I think it's just hard to grade this one.
Yeah, no matter where you're
post-season.
Yeah, we can all have differing degrees of what we think productivity is, and we'll take your calls and texts on this too, 913-586-7965. Are you good with the compensation? Most of you seem to be good. Someone else says, hey, 5th round's usually Brett Veach's best work. Mike Dana was a 5th-round pick. I'm just saying, Mike Dana has been a very nice pick for this team, but if you're worried, especially in the middle of a run that they're on, a three-peat run, that you're giving up a fit. Then you're honestly just, and it's fine, you're just not willing to trade any draft picks. If you're not willing to give up a 5th-round pick for DeAndre Hopkins, even at 32, for an offense that is down to like 4 available receivers, with Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback in this current era, then it's fine. You're just not willing to give up a pick for anybody. I mean,
you don't like to trade. You want your 7 picks every year, no matter what. And that's fine, I guess. But sometimes you got to trade.
Let's get a national perspective on this. Let's find out from Ross Tucker, Odyssey NFL Insider, how he views this trade. What does it do for Kansas City? Do they need to go out and still trade for another receiver? That's coming up next here on Cody and Gold.
This is Cody and Gold on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
What's up, Kansas City? It's Mitchell Schwartz. You know, there's nothing easier to enjoy than watching the Chiefs with some wings and an ice-cold Bud Light. And Buffalo Wild Wings is serving up both for every game, all season long. Join me at the Buffalo Wild Wings located at 119th and Strang Road in Olathe on Friday, October 25th. I'll be there with the crew from 6 to 8 p.m. celebrating the back-to-back Super Bowl champs while eating some wings and drinking $5 Bud Lights. Nothing easier to enjoy than that. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. For more details, go to 965thefan.com. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, diamond lovers. Shane Company knows fine jewelry. That means a lot when you're looking for a dream engagement ring, a beautiful keepsake, or the perfect gift. When it's this important, you want someone who knows exactly how to work with your budget. Not against it. Someone who knows you deserve a piece more beautiful than you've ever imagined. Through 4 generations as a family business, we've always sourced our diamonds and gemstones directly, cut out the middleman, and passed the savings on to you. Come see us in store and compare our wide selection of diamonds, rubies, and a rainbow of sapphires in different shapes and sizes. So many in stock and ready to take home today. Create your dream engagement ring in 3 easy steps. Or pick a perfectly preset ring that's created by our in-house design team. Browse our selection of fine jewelry gifts for everyone in your life, from diamond and gemstone studs to must-have tennis bracelets and beautiful birthstone necklaces. With our everyday competitive prices and unmatched free lifetime warranty, Shane Company is your go-to destination for fine jewelry. Visit shaneco.com and come in to see for yourself. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
It's Wrangler season out there. Warmer days, cooler nights, open roads, endless horizons. And you need to be ready in jeans made for the unpredictable. Wrangler, for the ride of life. Shop our newest styles today at Wrangler.com.
Our Labor Day savings start now at Lowe's. Right now, buy one, get one free on Valspar Reserve or HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams Infinity or Showcase Interior Paint via Lowe's gift card rebate. Whether you're painting one accent wall or want to freshen up a whole room, we've got you covered. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows home improvement. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for details. Valid through 9/4.
Save on O'Reilly Brake Parts Cleaner. Get 2 cans of O'Reilly Brake Parts Cleaner for just $8. Valid in-store only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's time to review the top 3 highlights of the day. I'm joined as always by my co-anchor Snoop.
Hey, what up, though?
Snoop, number 1 has to be getting the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence at T-Mobile.
Yeah, you should hustle down to T-Mobile like a dog chasing a squirrel, chasing a nut.
Nice analogy, Snoop. Dogs do love to chase squirrels.
And squirrels love to chase those nuts.
On to highlight number 2, at T-Mobile, families can save 20% every month versus the other big guys.
That is very impressive. You know, y'all can take some of those savings and buy some Snoop merchandise.
That's exactly what I'm planning on doing with my savings, Snoop. Now, take it away, Snoop.
Head to T-Mobile.com and get the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on them. Now drop that jingle.
24 monthly bill credits. Eligible trade-in on Go 5G Next. Well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 connection charge. Cancel entire account before receiving 24 bill credits and credits stop and balance on required finance agreement due. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See how you can save versus the other big guys at T-Mobile.com/switch. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024.
This is the story of the one. As a warehouse manager, her job is to transform chaos into clarity and to see patterns where others see problems. Luckily, she's got a partner who shares her perspective. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products, backed by real-person support and in-depth online resources, so she can tackle every task with precision and turn potential setbacks into streamlined success. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm at a smoothie bar asking people if they'd switch smoothies with me for $574.
Oh, I'll switch.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
That's a headache.
Nope, it's painless.
Oh, so it's easy money.
Yep, check Allstate first and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add any base. Ends Labor Day. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Arvest Bank, believing in the power of serving others.
Arvest Bank believes in the power of serving others. That's why we're committed to supporting those who serve our communities. We believe that all communities deserve a financial partner who cares. Arvest. We believe.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
I guess DeAndre Hopkins just posted on his official Instagram account. Backing out of his driveway, caption said, activated. He's got his kids in the back seat. He's ready to go, man. He's ready to come to Kansas City.
Yes, so.
Look, Nashville's a great city.
The whole family.
Nashville's a great city. Great city. But man, Will Levis was throwing you the football. Mason Rudolph was throwing you the football. You got Patrick Mahomes, and you got Andy Reid.
Have a starker difference.
Yeah, and you got a chance to finally get a ring to cap off what is a Hall of Fame career for DeAndre Hopkins. Let's get a national perspective on this trade, though. Our Odyssey NFL insider Ross Tucker joins us. He, of course, is brought to you by Hellman's Real Mayonnaise. Mayo Game Day be delicious. And what a tie-in the Mayo with Will Levis and DeAndre Hopkins. We got a perfect tie-in today for Ross Tucker. Good morning, sir. Your reaction just to the news that DeAndre Hopkins is about to become a Chief later on today.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say I'm not overly surprised. You know, the Chiefs have a truly unique opportunity this year to do something, obviously, that no one's ever done. I think, you know, they were probably already going this route, but then the Juju Smith-Schuster hamstring injury, I don't even know how bad it is, but I think they just thought, we really got to get somebody else in here. And I love the fit, by the way, for 2 reasons. One is, you know, for Hopkins, he has made so much money. I mean, he's made so much money that this is sort of the icing on his career, the cherry on top, whatever you want to call it. Like, he has a chance, and he knows it, to really stamp his legacy even more. I don't know if he's a Hall of Fame player, but I think he probably thinks he's in the mix or close with the numbers he's put up. So this certainly would help that quite a bit, I'm sure, in his mind. And then, you know, and to go from Mason Rudolph and Will Levis to Mahomes, I mean, come on. The thing I like about, though, is Hopkins is one of those guys, he's always open, even when he's not open, because of his catch radius. I was, like, amazed when I met him, and he's, like, 6'1.5". If you ever watch a game where he plays, you feel like he's 6'4", 6'5". Like, he's that long and he's that good in contested catch situations. Really curious to see how quickly Mahomes feels comfortable to just throw him the ball when he's in any situation, especially near the sideline, especially back shoulder throws, because he's just he's one of the best we've ever seen in terms of boundary receivers and contested catch guys. And so I think that's the thing I'll be watching the most, is how quickly, you know, Patrick sort of feels comfortable firing those throws to him when he doesn't have a ton of separation.
Maybe not for this Sunday and the short timeline to get ready, although it sounds like they're going to try to have him at least maybe play somewhat on Sunday. But long term now with this trade, what do you think is realistic to expect for him? We know this is not DeAndre Hopkins from 2020 when he was 28 years old. He's also dealing with a little bit of a knee injury. So what do you think is realistic to expect from him?
Yeah, I don't think just the way the Chiefs are constructed, I don't think he's going to put up huge numbers. Huge fantasy numbers for people that are into those things. I think he's just going to allow them to get a few more explosive plays and to be able to convert some third downs that they were struggling to convert at times. I think when you have a guy like this, and it's funny because the Buffalo Bills were kind of going through the same thing. You need a guy on the outside that can consistently win against man coverage, and that's Hopkins. And the Bills didn't really have that guy, which is why they got Cooper. DeAndre Hopkins can still do that, but he's got a little bit of Kelsey in his game, and that he's super savvy against zone as well. I just think it's a really, really good fit. We'll see. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for guys like that to be able to click together since they haven't worked together. But that's why doing it now, I think, is a good move because obviously they're going to be in the playoffs. They get a lot of time to really kind of get in sync before January.
Sometimes we make it like just a physical game, which certainly football is, but there's a mentality part to it too. Ross, you've been a midseason acquisition. You've seen players acquired or traded midseason. How much extra juice does it add to like DeAndre Hopkins just be like, thank God it's not Will Levis? Like getting on that plane, I would think, would motivate you in a way that you have not been all season.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was different. I was just happy that somebody signed me, still wanted me, or traded for me, or whatever the case would have been. I will say this, just side note. First time I got cut, I got picked up the next day on waivers by the Cowboys in October, like right around now. And I went to the Cowboys, and I was amazed with state income tax how much more my check was in Dallas than it was in Washington. Man, this getting fired thing is pretty good. Like, this is a pretty good deal. Not that I would recommend it, but he's actually doing the opposite, right? You guys have state income tax? So
we
he's
do.
Go from Nashville where they don't have it to you guys where they do?
That's right. And a 1% earnings tax, too, on top of it. Yeah.
Well, listen, like I said earlier, he's made so much money. There's no question he's fired up. It's by far the best chance he's had in his career to win a Super Bowl, to even play in one. You know what I mean? Like, and I know he wants to win it, but to my knowledge, I have to look it up again. Has he ever even been in an AFC championship game? Like, to be able to be in a situation like this where he has a chance to really do some cool things that he's never experienced before. I mean, he's had some good moments in Arizona and some good moments in Houston, but not like this. Not like where he has a chance to play in a conference championship game, to play in a Super Bowl, to experience those things. I mean, I never got to do either one of those things, and it's disappointing, because I want to be able to talk about it when it's that time of year, and I wanted to be able to experience that, and I never got a chance to, and now he's obviously got a golden opportunity to experience it.
We're talking to Ross Tucker, our Odyssey NFL insider here on 96.5 The Fan. Doesn't this also, the fact this trade happens, prove that a lot of the discussion that nobody will trade with the Chiefs or you're going to have to pay a super premium to make it happen? They're like, that's just not true. Like, the Chiefs have been able to pull off these trades.
I have no idea why anybody ever said that or would think that. That makes no sense. Every general manager should solely do what's best for them. What's best for their team. And what we're seeing here is that you have to assume that the fifth that could be a fourth was the best option that Rand Carthon could get. And it's why he did it. I'm sure he'll say something about wanting to do right by DeAndre and Chiefs are good operators. Like, I'm sure he'll say that, but I don't know that I believe it. And I don't even know that I think that's the right thing to do. I think the right thing to do is whatever's best for the Titans.
How long do you think the Chiefs will stay undefeated, Ross? I'm curious because you look at the rest of the AFC, same 4 teams, no mystery. I mean, it's the Ravens, it's the Chiefs, it's the Bills. How long do you think they'll maintain undefeated before you think they have a chance to lose? The Bills?
When is that?
That's 3 weeks. So they would take on this week. They would take on the Raiders in Vegas. Then Monday Night Football against the Bucs. That game looks dramatically different. And then they have the Panthers. So you can just go ahead and write that one in.
And then the Bills. The Bills.
Yep.
Yeah, I think if they beat the Bills, then we can start to have that conversation. And I think there's another conversation to be had there, which is, do you even want to do it? Because, they're going to, if that's the case, they get to 14-0, they'll probably have clinched home field advantage at that point.
Right.
So do they want to play those 3 more games? Is it worth the injury risk? I mean, they're already going for the 3 Super Bowl history. I don't know if they need to have the history of undefeated as well. I mean, that would be a heck of an accomplishment. The same year to be the first team to ever go undefeated and get your 3rd Super Bowl, then nobody could ever say anything to any Chief, anybody from Kansas City, anybody that's ever even been to the state of Missouri ever again for the rest of their lives.
It would be the end of the GOAT conversation somehow. Like, I feel like it would surpass Tom Brady. And by the way, I got it mixed up. They'll actually take on Denver before taking on Buffalo. Then they have the Panthers after Buffalo.
So what if they beat Buffalo, what would their record be?
Their record then would be 10-0. And then the remaining schedule, and I'm not kidding, would be Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, and the Raiders and Chargers would be at home. Cleveland, a tough game against Houston, at Pittsburgh, and at Denver.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll lose to either the Bills, Texans, or Steelers, but they're going to have a really good record this year. That's for sure. I mean, it's remarkable. Although, I don't know, last year they didn't have a record and they still won it, but you certainly would want to have the walk, you want to have the home field advantage in the bye. It would certainly make it a lot easier. And maybe because of that, maybe that would give Andy more reason to play the guys in the regular season, knowing that they're going to get the bye anyway.
Right. Yeah, that's the point that I brought up yesterday when we were discussing how they would handle the last week of the season if they were in that spot. Like, you're not going to give them 2 weeks off. Then you get worried about the whole Russ conversation. I don't know if you believe in that or not as a former player, if you think that that's something that actually would be a concern at that point. Let me ask you real quick about the Baltimore Ravens. Right now, I mean, Lamar Jackson is playing better than anybody in football at that position. But we've seen this before, right? Like, isn't it understandable to be skeptical about what this actually means for the Ravens' chances to win a Super Bowl? Because ultimately it's going to be, how does he perform in January?
Yeah, and that's the same conversation I had yesterday with the Odyssey station in Buffalo about Josh Allen. The Bills and the Ravens are eerily similar to me. They're both really good. They've both been really good. They both have MVP caliber quarterbacks who are top 5 in the world and give them a chance to win every game. Give them a chance, but they got to do it now in January. I mean, Burrow's done it once, at least beating Mahomes and getting to the Super Bowl. Now it's time for either Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen to do it, and I think that they can. But to be honest with you, their best chance to do it was last year.
Right.
When the Chiefs weren't as good and the Chiefs had to go to Buffalo and to Baltimore. I mean, that was their best chance last year. Maybe it'll happen this year, but it's not like they're going to be in a better situation this year than they were last year.
Yeah, likely they'll be facing the games on the road. It's just like it's the same teams just kind of in repeat. Is there a team you think could sneak back up? Are you a believer in like Cincinnati's chances to come back? I just don't think they're a very good football team, but is there someone in the AFC you think re-enters this conversation?
Cincinnati and Houston, I'll give them each a chance. Cincinnati's defense, so their offense, Burrow and the receivers have been amazing pretty much the whole time. It's just their defense was terrible the first month, but they've been much better the last 2 games. So that gives them a chance. And we know they've had some success against the Chiefs. And then I think the Texans, they just have enough firepower that they could do it. Their O-line is not pass protecting very well. That's their biggest issue. But any of those teams have a chance against the Chiefs in a one-game scenario. And, you know, it's just crazy. If you go through and you look at all of the Chiefs playoff games the last 4 years, how many, you know, one play here goes different, one play there, situations there are, and yet the Chiefs came out on top in all of them except for the Bengals one, you know, like the Bengals overtime one. And so everybody kind of has a batting average in those games. You know, you're not going to win them all. It's just the Mahomes batting average in the January and, you know, December and February football games, it's just incredibly high to think, because it's not like they've been blowing people out. You know, it's like these have been one-score close games. It's, I would say they're tempting fate a little bit, and that it's unlikely that they can continue to win way more than their fair share of these one-score, could go either way based on one-play games. It's remarkable what they've done.
Ross Tucker, our Odyssey NFL insider. Good to chat with you again, man. Enjoy the week, and we'll check in next week.
Sounds great. See you guys.
There you go. Ross Tucker is presented by Hellman's Real Mayonnaise. May your game day be delicious. Yeah, his last point there, I'm with him, but also I feel like we said that last year, and then what happened in the playoffs, they did clean things up, and they did start to play better, and that's why they were able to do it. Can they win the exact same way with some of the mistakes and stuff that they are now in the playoffs? No, I don't think so either.
But they just clean those things up.
But
it's
that's
weird.
The issue. Yeah.
It's history tells us Lamar Jackson will choke in the playoffs. He'll play much worse football. Josh Allen will play great football, but they'll still lose. And all the problems the Chiefs have been building up over the entire year, every little mistake, all the holding problems, the turnover issues, they just magically, and I borderline outside of that, I can't explain it, magically disappear January 15th, and this team stops making mistakes. And that's why they win all those games.
Coming up in about 12 minutes, we'll head out to Nashville. Want to get their perspective. Did they see this DeAndre Hopkins move coming? What do they make of the compensation, and what do they know about the injury front for Hopkins, and what can Chiefs fans expect from him at this point in his career? So we'll go out there and talk to our friends over at 104.5 The Zone in Nashville to get their perspective. One other thing, you know, that we were discussing there with Ross was, of course, the undefeated stuff, and it is so true, though. Like, can you imagine in a year in which you're going for a three-peat, if they somehow were 17-0, and then they ultimately were, 20-0, I guess.
Talking about adding some pressure to getting the three-peat.
Well, adds pressure, but, like, if in this dream scenario, and dreams do sometimes come reality, and certainly with this franchise, why not? If they were 20-0, there is the ultimate middle finger to everybody, like, I don't care what anybody ever says about the Kansas City Chiefs, like, ever again, Cody. Like, ever again. That you would be a complete moron to try to downplay anything this group has accomplished. Like, oh, yeah, but, you know, Mahomes, his interceptions were a little high that year. Who gives a damn?
It would be the very end of the greatest of all-time conversation. But how? Alex said he needed to get to at least 5. No, he didn't. That'd be it. It would be over. It would be over. I wouldn't listen to a single Patriots fan seriously if at the end of this thing they three-peated in an undefeated season. So they did two things that had just not been done flat out. The one undefeated season was with Miami in 14 games. They would have accomplished two things in a year in which they lost. Because that's the other part. In a year in which they lost their number one running back, their number one wide receiver, their number two wide receiver, and Mahomes had his worst statistical season of his career, well, then I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care.
Perfect
That
season.
would be the end of that. Andy Reid would then officially become, with a big, gigantic rubber stamp, he would become the single greatest coach of all time without question, and Patrick Mahomes would become the single greatest quarterback of all time without question. I would be done personally having that argument with anyone.
Yeah.
I would need nothing else for the rest of time to support that fact.
You wouldn't, and anybody that want to blame refs, the simple response every single time would be a picture of the 3 rings and the three-peat logo And, oh, yeah, we'd be talking next August about going for a four-peat. So, yeah, that's the dream scenario. It would be an ultimate shut the hell up to everybody else, even though I think they're already kind of there. They're going for a three-peat, and that hasn't been something we've seen very often in general. But
they love blaming the refs for, like, Mahomes running on the sideline or
if you
some
do that,
holding call or whatever nonsense.
There's nothing left at that point.
Briscoe actually pointed it out really well for us. Joshua Briscoe, our Chiefs Chiefs contributor that joins us on Fridays, he pointed out the thing that everyone should know, which is the very simple thing. The refs are not cheating for the Chiefs. They're just not very good at their jobs. Okay? It's a hard job. It's a hard job to do with 100% accuracy, and not a single ref or umpire crew does it.
And that is why my thing now on my Twitter account is, whether it's college or NFL, anytime there is a blown call, is just to point out said blown call and make a joke about the Chiefs getting the call. Because the bad calls happen in every single football game. Like the Georgia-Texas one we pointed out. Like, those SEC officials really want the Chiefs to win, too, you know? They make bad calls in that game. Sunday Night Football, they made a terrible call on the extra point that was blocked, and they called it on the Steelers.
That was a really bad call.
The refs stopped. The refs were trying to make the Jets win. Is that what we're going with in that game? Like, no,
Didn't
they
work.
just stink. The refs stink. They're humans. They make mistakes, and they're more magnified than ever. And when the Chiefs already are hated by some because they win, and when they're on primetime anyway, their mistakes in those games are magnified more. And now the narrative, it's low-hanging fruit for people that are upset that the Chiefs keep kicking their ass. That's where we're at.
Yes. It's the easy answer for, I'm telling you, something's up.
Will you get a tattoo if they have a perfect season, 20-0?
What are you trying to get me a tattoo for everything that exists in this
I'm just
world?
asking the question. You can
That
say
was
no.
one
You can say
Royals-related
you
tattoo.
haven't said
Would
no
you get
yet.
one?
No.
Come on.
No.
Your family was a season ticket holder when you were a kid. That's not how I grew up, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So I think you should get it. It says 20-0.
No tattoo. No tattoo.
You're anti-tattoo?
Personally, yeah, I don't have any. You have a couple, right?
Oh, I don't have any tattoos.
Drew's got a few?
Drew's got like 5 or 6 or 7. I don't know. He's got a few.
Yeah.
I'm not anti-tattoo.
The reason
just
why I
don't
keep
currently have
asking
one.
you about the tattoo is because you have another outstanding bet. So why don't you pay up on one of them?
Well, but that tattoos, that one's not outstanding.
Okay, well, let's swap it. You don't have to do the strip club when we go to Vegas. Starting this afternoon, we fly into Vegas.
But if the Chiefs go 20-0, I have to get a tattoo?
Yep, but the other bet's wiped off.
Okay. I mean, God, it feels like
So
a risk,
if the
honestly.
Chiefs go 20-0 in three-peat in a 20-0
What's
campaign.
the tattoo? Do I get to decide it?
It would be like whatever. Is that just my headphones or is everybody sounding weird?
No, I think it's just yours.
Okay. All of a sudden, it's very staticky. I think you get whatever the three-peat logo looks like or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, what some version that's three-peat. I don't want you you get to choose it and the eye is a penis or something. You know,
it's gonna be
just
Chiefs.
as long as it's not ridiculous.
It's gonna be Chiefs related.
I don't think they would do that to you.
You know. I'm just trying to make sure that we've got some editorial control here. That's all.
You would
if
get
I'm just
whatever
and
logo
you
the
can choose
Chiefs have.
whatever it is, that's a mistake. People just walk into that trap.
In fairness, if you're getting the tattoo, I feel like you
Actually,
should
it needs
be the
to be
one that approves it in the end.
It's you can either do the championship three-peat logo,
okay,
or it can just be Sky Moore in a uniform.
Oh God, the logo.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
If those were the two choices, I'd rather have the Super Bowl logo with a stripper on it. She's dancing, celebratory
on the Lombardi.
on it.
She's actually grinding on the Lombardi. Perfect. Mercedes on the Lombardi.
All of a sudden, that is the idea. It's no longer the three-peat logo. It's
that one?
Because you mentioned it now.
I did put that into the world.
Yes,
I opened
the fact
up
that you brought it
that
up,
bag,
yes.
unfortunately.
So are you already then saying that we fly to Vegas right after the show today? You're already saying you're not going to pay off your bet over the next couple days?
Well, you're just giving me the choice in this.
Is that the deal?
I'll take the deal.
Okay.
I'll take the tattoo deal.
Hang on. So
Okay.
This is.
We always make deals on this show. We're constantly moving and shaking.
No, to be correct, the deal is if they don't say they don't, does he still have to go?
No,
or is it?
that's the trade. That's the trade.
That's the trade.
So this is, I think, a very fair offer for me to give to you.
Very reasonable. 100%. I would
Because
say
it's
yes
still
for
going
you.
to, to go 20-0 is a...
And because you don't have to wait 2 more years for me to pay off the other end of this.
Yeah, I think that's an easy yes for Cody to agree to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, at least we got there.
Renegotiating.
Up next, we're headed out to Nashville. All right, we're going to talk with our friends at 104.5 The Zone, get Will Boling's perspective on this trade. What is DeAndre Hopkins at this point in his career? How can he impact the Chiefs based off the injury? All that next on Cody and Gold.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
It is one of my favorite times of the year. The NBA is back, baby, and FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app, wants you to catch all the action because right now, FanDuel is giving all users, yes, every single user, 3 months free of NBA League Pass. All you need to do to catch every tip-off and every buzzer beater is place a $5 bet on the NBA. You can place this on LeBron having the most assists, Victor Wembanyama to win MVP, or who you think is going to win the NBA Cup. If you're new to FanDuel, all you need to do is visit FanDuel.com/CDOT. Use my promo code to get 3 months free of NBA League Pass, courtesy of FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA, and also 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. After 3 month free trial, the full price of League Pass will be automatically charged monthly. Cancel any time. No refunds, terms and restrictions, and embargoes apply. Limit 1 pass per customer. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem. Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Is joint pain, soreness, and achiness getting in the way of your best life? Football legend Emmitt Smith refuses to back down to pain. That's why he's a huge advocate for QC Kinetics and their natural approach to getting you relief.
Look, we get one trip around, so I wouldn't ever let pain stop me from hanging out with my race team, traveling with my family, or golfing with my friends.
Emmett's got it right. And QC Kinetics uses regenerative medicine to relieve that never-ending pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back. And the best news, there's nothing foreign being introduced into your body. Just your own body's natural healing properties. No surgery or no downtime.
If pain's holding you back, maybe it's tennis, pickleball, running, hiking, or spending time with special people in your life, what are you waiting for? This is precious time. Get out there and get over to QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
Right now, 38 states allow sports betting, including 7 of Missouri's neighboring states. Amendment 2 gives Missouri sports fans the freedom to bet on games too, and that will generate over $100 million for our schools. Amendment 2 is endorsed by the Chiefs, Cardinals, Royals, Blues, and Missouri's 2 biggest newspapers, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and the Kansas City Star. Here's Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith asking you to vote yes on 2.
Back in my day, I was the wizard of the infield. Now, I'm a grandfather. That's why I'm voting yes on Amendment 2. It means over $100 million for Missouri schools and teachers, and no more broken promises. There's a constitutional guarantee that the money goes to our schools, and legalizing sports betting is great for us fans too. That's why the Royals, Chiefs, Blues, and Cardinals all join me in saying yes on Amendment 2.
Paid for by Winning for Missouri Education, Mike Pridmore, Treasurer.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. And one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
Guess what, people? Wendy's has new saucy nugs. You heard me. Wendy's nugs now come in 7 saucy flavors. Buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, spicy ghost pepper. You can literally hear your taste buds after every bite. I'm serious. Listen to mine. Okay, that's just me playing with sound effects, but you got the idea. For a whole new way to nug, gotta be Wendy's.
Participating U.S. Wendy's.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
What's up, KC? It's Trent McDuffie. Catch the play-by-play all season long with Mitch, Danon, and Kling right here on your home of the Chiefs. 96.5, The Fan.
KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City in Odyssey Sports Station.
Oh my, good Lord. Someone pour me up a double shot of whiskey. They know me and Jay Dale's got a history. There's a party.
Coming up a little bit later on this hour, we're going to hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. So I'll be honest, we may get the, obviously we've seen
Waiting
the
to
reports out there, but that deal's not done yet, so I can't really comment. So we're going to hear from Andy and Mahomes later this hour, but I don't know if we're going to get much from them on DeAndre Hopkins yet. But we all know multiple reports, and DeAndre Hopkins is headed to Kansas City. But let's go to Nashville and find out who exactly the Chiefs are getting at this point in his career, and how did this trade come together some more. Will Boling, he hosts over at 104.5 The Zone in Nashville. He's kind enough to give us some time this morning. Will, thanks for coming on the show, man. Did you guys expect DeAndre Hopkins to get traded at some point, I assume, but were you surprised now into Kansas City?
Hey, guys, appreciate you having me. There's not a surprise that DeAndre Hopkins is out. I think we can start there because this team, at 1-5 to start the season, has not lived up to expectations that we thought, were possible for a team that we thought could maybe, be in the back end of the AFC playoff picture. Maybe a lot of young pieces could be better than a lot of, national personalities expected. But it's been worst case scenario here. And after Sunday's game in Buffalo, where DeAndre Hopkins has one catch on one target for -2 yards, none of us, I think, were surprised this morning. To me, the Hopkins situation is different from the other stars that may be offloaded here closer to the trade deadline. Guys, this to me feels like a move that was facilitated by DeAndre Hopkins' camp, maybe more so than the Titans organization looking to offload him, and I think it really materialized quickly after a really frustrating performance, and especially second half that didn't really include Hopkins at all on Sunday in Buffalo.
So how do you make a judgment about the level of play? Do you just look at last year's tape and be like, that's what Hopkins is? Does he look any different? Because Will Levis stinks, man. I mean, I don't have to tell you. Yeah. I mean, it's fairly obvious that you can't judge a wide receiver if a quarterback can't throw.
It's totally fair. And to be honest with you, DeAndre Hopkins has been a model citizen both on and off the field here in Tennessee. And last year, there were no concerns at all. I mean, 75 catches, over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. Like the good moments that Will Levis had last year that led a lot of us to believe he could take a step this season and maybe be the guy were because DeAndre Hopkins helped to make him that. So I think you have to start there when you evaluate Hopkins. At 31 years old last season, the Titans, by all accounts, had the worst offensive line in football last season. Yet Hopkins was still open enough, quickly enough, even when there's a defender draped all over him, to still get to 1,000 yards. I don't think there was enough conversation, guys, nationally about how good Hopkins was within this offense because of how bad the quarterback situation was with 3 different starters last season and how bad the offensive line was. But this season, it's just been a little bit different. And the Titans brought in Calvin Ridley, and it almost felt like Will Levis and this organization have overcorrected so much because they invested their long-term future in Calvin Ridley that they forgot really who made them successful under their quarterback last season, which was Hopkins. And I think they kind of went too far away from Hopkins to just try to make Ridley be the guy. But at the same time, part of that is DeAndre's fault because DeAndre Hopkins had an injury in preseason. He had a knee problem. He went to California to rehab. And within that time, over about a month, where Hopkins was not in town, was not with the team, was not there day-to-day with Will Levis, the team kind of moved on without him a little bit in preseason. And when Hopkins came back, he wasn't the same guy. He was not immediately there in the lineup. The former first-round pick Treylon Burks was having more snaps than him, which should not be happening by any stretch of the imagination. And to be quite honest with you, DeAndre didn't seem like a guy that knew the playbook all that well when he got back. So while, yes, he's been a model citizen off the field, and I have a lot of positive things to say about his time here, at the end, I think that it just hasn't been that same level of cohesion and connection with him and the quarterback. And I think that month he had off from that knee problem in preseason really played a big role in that.
We're talking to Will Boling from 104.5 The Zone in Nashville. You mentioned the injury maybe impacting just the playbook and the chemistry. What about the actual injury itself? Are the Chiefs, like, if they want a guy to pass a physical, he'll pass a physical, and obviously he's going to, but is the knee actually a concern?
No, I don't think so. Honestly, to guys, I think DeAndre Hopkins on Sunday in Buffalo had the same ailments as Amari Cooper in Cleveland and Devontae Adams in Vegas. You know, I just that was such an interesting topic of conversation. It was like lower leg soreness, I think, was what they gave us coming out of that game in Buffalo. And my co-host Ramon Foster is the sideline reporter for Titans Radio, and what he saw on the sidelines was not a player that went into the injury tent and was hurt on Sunday. It was a guy that had his helmet on, but was disconnected from the rest of the skill position guys as the team was moving down the field. And that's what happened on Sunday. DeAndre Hopkins had his helmet on. He looked like he was ready to go back in the game, but he was not moving with the other skill position guys as the drive moved down the field, which told us that they'd made a decision and determination before the drive even started that Hopkins was not getting in the game, you know, in the fourth quarter down by 17 when you're throwing the ball a lot. So for whatever reason that really was, maybe it was lower leg soreness. Maybe it's the fact that they, you know, saw a move coming and didn't want to get a guy hurt because they wanted to make this trade. For me, it feels more like a guy that just kind of wasn't super motivated to go back in the game because he was frustrated by how poorly the Titans were moving the ball. And honestly, you can't really blame him. The Titans had 11 total yards in the third quarter on Sunday, and that lost to Buffalo. So I don't blame him for being frustrated and feeling like that was kind of the last straw either.
Yeah, I guess like if it looks at it, if you're saying he was a model citizen up to that point, I look at it more as like the Titans protecting a trade asset than I guess the other way around at that point. Because if they knew he was going to move him at some point because of their investment in Ridley, why risk his injury? I guess the real question is, we always ask this on the flip side, so I'll ask you, do you think the Titans got enough value for DeAndre Hopkins? Is a fifth-round pick that turns into a fourth if the Chiefs get to the Super Bowl enough?
I think it is, honestly. I mean, for a 32-year-old wide receiver who I do not think was going to be here moving forward, I think it's definitely good enough value for this team. And look, Rand Carthon, this organization, they've drafted fairly well over these last two cycles. I mean, they've got a guy in Jarvis Brownlee right now, rookie out of Louisville, who's starting for them at corner for the injured Chidobe Awuzie, who is a day 3 pick. And it feels like they actually now have a new front office structure that is better at pinpointing talent on day 3 and finding gems late in the draft. And, you know, you guys will understand the gravity of making this comparison, but that's a guy in Jarvis Brownlee who wants to become kind of another L'Jarius Sneed type. Very similar skill sets coming out of the draft and a really physical, hard-nosed, man coverage, in-your-face corner that they hope he can turn into. So all that to say, I do think that this was good enough for the Titans. You could make the argument, you know, could they have waited for more teams to enter the market? You know, is Tampa Bay motivated to get in on this and to maybe bring up that price a little bit? I don't necessarily think so, because I think the Titans at this point, you know, clearly have a good relationship with Kansas City as it is as well via the L'Jarius Sneed trade and these organizations doing business together. So I think it makes sense for both sides. And I think, honestly, you know, we talked about it last week on our show. We felt like a fifth-round pick was about as good as it was going to get for a guy that is not producing, is on pace for about a 500-yard season, maybe this year in Hopkins. So, given some of the the slow starts and just the lack of connectiveness that he's had in this offense, I think a fourth or fifth kind of ballpark pick is about right.
Will, appreciate the time, man. Great insight on DeAndre Hopkins, who is likely to officially become a Chief maybe later on today. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Happy to do it. Thanks.
There you go. Will Boling from 104.5 The Zone in Nashville joining us, covers the Tennessee Titans. Good insight, talking about kind of the injury was what I was most interested in. And it sounds like
he's got a case of the old, like,
which is great.
Oh, yeah, knees sore
Which
because
is
this
great.
team stinks. Got a case of the team stinks.
That the injury impacted maybe the relationship with Will Levis in terms of getting in this offense and game plan and things like that. But being disconnected on the sideline, if that's the case,
Can you blame him?
1-5 football team. Your quarterback is Will Levis selling Mayo perfume out there. He's terrible. Now Mason Rudolph's throwing you the football. I don't blame him one bit. I'm just happy to hear that. Like, no, it's he just doesn't look right because of the knee. That's not what we heard. We heard that the knee is probably fine. Just he missed the offseason and he's on a crappy football team and wants out. So that is definitely the Amari Cooper, Devontae Adams type of thing. Suddenly that knee is going to feel great. This morning it feels great.
I was surprised. Like, one of the things he had talked about that maybe I hadn't factored into the low production for DeAndre Hopkins is they started to try to get to their new man. They spent all that money on Calvin Ridley. He's their future, right? He's a wide receiver in their 20s that they got $20 million plus a year.
New head coach
heading
too,
towards new head coach, and they're like, well, we're going to make it work with this guy. And then somebody falls out of favor all of a sudden. Last year, with Will Levis throwing him the ball in a not good offense with a bad head coach, he had 1,000 yards. Look, I don't think he's DeAndre Hopkins from 4 years ago, but I don't think he's fully washed either.
No.
I think that would just be kind of insincere to think that way. But also, you heard the guy from Nashville saying it's not really necessarily been the case. Has he been playing as much as we thought? No. But also, like, that's just the reality of where they are. I mean, that didn't make me feel worse about the deal. Also, I almost asked him, like, I don't feel like people are real happy about that L'Jarius Sneed trade there in Tennessee. But I didn't want to rub salt in the wound. Unnecessary, you know?
We have to break early because we're going to hear from Rita Mahomes later this hour. Otherwise, yes, that was on my mind. I almost squeezed in one last question like, hey, what do you guys actually think about L'Jarius Sneed with making trades with the Chiefs? The first one has worked out very nicely for Kansas City based on what they're getting from Sneed. Now, good for Sneed. He got paid. That's what he wanted.
Correct.
He already got the rings and he got paid. He's not having a great year. He's also just on a bad football team. And he's not with Steve Spagnuolo anymore. All of that has probably contributed. But appreciate Will for joining us. Up next, though, we'll keep talking about DeAndre Hopkins getting traded to Kansas City. Any new details on that? Plus, who else could be coming back for Kansas City later on this year? There's a chance that the perfect scenario could come together. We'll get to that next here on Cody and Gold.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
The NBA season is back. We saw that last night, a couple of games. And this NBA season, you can make every play, pass, and point mean more with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Check out newer bets like the number of dunks, assists, or three-pointers in the next 3 minutes. It doesn't matter if you tap into FanDuel before the game starts or after it is already tipped off. For example, tonight you can take a look in some of the games in action. Who's going to score the most points with the Pacers and Pistons? Cade Cunningham sitting at plus 185. Or if you take a look at the Suns and Clippers, Devin Booker plus 180 to be the top point scorer in that game. You could parlay that together. Just visit FanDuel.com/Alex. Use that promo code for your chance to score $300 in bonus bets with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA and 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But Did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
It's Carrington Harrison from The Drive here now on 96.5 The Fan, telling you guys about my friends over at Window World. Window World is the official window of the Kansas City Chiefs. Pick up the phone right now and call Window World today at 816-799-0820 or check out the website, windowskansascity.com. And remember this, when you call Window World, be sure to mention that you heard this on The Drive with me, and you'll be entered into a drawing for 4 Chiefs tickets during the upcoming season. You know they got some big games, and you're going to want to be there. So call my friends over at Window World. They're offering right now 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. In over 20 years of business, Window World has improved the look and thermal efficiency of over 54,000 homes right here in the Kansas City metro. Check out the website, windowskansascity.com. Pick up the phone today at 816-799-0820 for a free home estimate. Call to be entered into a drawing for 4 Chiefs tickets. Remember, Window World, simply the best for less. And the official window of your Kansas City Chiefs.
What's up, Kansas City? It's Mitchell Schwartz. You know, there's nothing easier to enjoy than watching the Chiefs with some wings and an ice-cold Bud Light. And Buffalo Wild Wings is serving up both for every game, all season long. Join me at the Buffalo Wild Wings located at 119th and Strang Road in Olathe on Friday, October 25th. I'll be there with the crew from 6 to 8 p.m. celebrating the back-to-back Super Bowl champs while eating some wings and drinking $5 Bud Lights. Nothing easier to enjoy than that. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. For more details, go to 965thefan.com. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
The IRS is ramping up collection, and if you owe back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, listen carefully. Before it's too late, check your eligibility for the Fresh Start program still offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax problems. Call our special hotline number now and find out in minutes if you qualify for these life-changing debt reduction programs. Business or personal, if you're in a payment plan with no end in sight, have unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to know your options, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief and stop collections immediately. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau with a 5-star rating from Yelp, this veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. Call their hotline number now, 800-554-6899. That's 800-554-6899. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-554-6899 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
It's Wrangler season out there. Warmer days, cooler nights. Open roads, endless horizons. And you need to be ready in jeans made for the unpredictable. Wrangler, for the ride of life. Shop our newest styles today at Wrangler.com.
Whether you're tinkering in your garage or tackling big projects, if you know the value of working with your hands, you know Harbor Freight. And you can be confident knowing that at Harbor Freight, you can get quality tools at prices that work just as hard as you do. Because the only thing more satisfying than a job well done is a job well done, well under budget. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
It's Wrangler season out there. Warmer days, cooler nights. Open roads, endless horizons. And you need to be ready in jeans made for the unpredictable. Wrangler, for the ride of life. Shop our newest styles today at Wrangler.com.
A Gain Scent Bead story. Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said, "Maraca, senor," but his nose said, "Hey, freshest scent ever." Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring a bottle of Gain Scent Beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, "Sir, your scent Maraca smell amazing." Actually, Jim, most noses call them Gain Scent Beads. Try Gain Scent Beads, way fresher than detergent alone.
It takes a lot to prepare for game day as a dedicated fan, and preparing the perfect tailgate meal might be most important of all. That's why Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise is the MVP. Hellmann's Mayonnaise is the secret to bring out the rich and creamy taste to all your game day dishes, from buffalo chicken dip to your favorite sub sandwich and everything in between. So give it a try, and mayo game day be delicious with Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise. Shop at your local Walmart, Kroger, or grocery store, and add some extra deliciousness to your game day dishes this football season.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double hot, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Hey, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Well, I do now.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
Did you say you're cutting me off?
You earn, we match. Unlimited cashback match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Brought to you by Gomer's. 5 locations in the KC Metro or online at gomers.com.
Stock up for your tailgate or Halloween party with Gomer's. 5 great locations in the Kansas City Metro. Voted KC's #1 liquor store in Kansas City again for 2024. Excellent in price, selection, and service. 5 locations in the KC Metro and online at gomers.com.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Back here on Cody and Gold, coming up in 25 minutes. Expected to hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, the news of the day, DeAndre Hopkins expected to officially become a member of the Chiefs perhaps today. But all reports are that he is on his way to Kansas City, maybe this afternoon. They would like to get him, according to James Palmer, up to speed and have him play on Sunday out in Las Vegas against the Raiders. We'll see on all that. I don't know if Andy Reid's going to talk about DeAndre Hopkins or not, but you'll hear him.
Maybe it'll become official sometime in the next 10 minutes.
That's an optimistic way to look at it.
And then he could say whatever he wants.
We might have to wait till
Friday.
Friday or after the game Saturday, honestly, or a Monday's press conference or something like that to find out. It isn't official, so technically they're not allowed to comment on the players, so it wouldn't surprise me if that's what they lean on, and we don't get much. But you can still ask Patrick Mahomes, hey, what do you think of just DeAndre Hopkins as a football player and how he might fit in on your team?
Hypothetically, if you maybe have heard.
So we'll hear from both of them. Yeah. Obviously, an exciting day in Kansas City. No matter where you're at on what D-Hop is now or not, I think we all recognize they had to go out and get a receiver, get some help. They get to help the receiver room while only giving up a 5th-round pick. To me, that in its own right is a massive win. And then it's still someone that after hearing from Will Boling in Nashville, I feel better about my biggest concern, Cody, was just, if there was any, was the injury part. I love the compensation they give up. I think he's clearly their top target other than Travis Kelce in this offense now. Based off of what they're trying to accomplish, all of that, my one concern was, hey, he's this partially torn MCL injury from the offseason. Is that still a thing? But Will Boling just told us, no, he's healthy. He was playing with Will Levis is what it was.
Yeah, I mean, that would make me also not want to play football, so I understand because he stinks, but at least it makes some sense. I was worried about that too. He was obviously hurt before the season, but he's been available outside of that. They just didn't use him at all in the fourth quarter last game when they were trailing by 17, and they obviously knew they were going to trade his ass.
Yeah.
So, that's a whole different part of the problem.
It will never happen, but, man, if Andy Reid would just say, when he's asked about Hopkins, it's starting to smell like mayo in here a little bit more. Just leave it at that. It'd be an incredible
He's never going to take a shot at Will Levis.
It would be an incredible comment.
Never going to
Or if Patrick said, yeah, there's some mayo smell in the building.
I'm going to be honest.
Oh, it'd be so good.
The only coach that would say something about it is if Will Levis was gone out of Tennessee and he was like, man, thank goodness it smells a little bit different in this locker room. Brian Callahan would unleash. He'd be so happy.
There's one coach, actually, that would say, if Hopkins got traded to Philly, one arrogant, smart-ass coach would actually say it, and that is Nick Sirianni. He couldn't help it. He would actually be the coach that would make that comment.
Yeah, Andy's never going to be like, well, I bet D-Hop's real happy Will Levis isn't throwing to him anymore. He's not going to say that. I wish he would. Be way more entertaining for me, and it's also the truth.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the case.
I don't think so.
They had to make this move because of the wide receiver injuries. There was a report earlier today that maybe, I want to emphasize, that they have to get 17 more scans before you know whether or not Hollywood Brown will actually be available by the end of the season. So maybe Hollywood Brown would be ready for the playoffs. But it had me wondering because there are people who will come back for injury, not at wide receiver, so we know DeAndre Hopkins is going to have to make that plan. Charles Omenihu looks like he'll have his window opened here soon. Isaiah Pacheco, the original estimate was 10 weeks. That was in week 2. We're now heading into week 8 of the NFL season, so we got to be getting close there too, maybe inside of a month. Who do you actually think will be the bigger impactful player to come back for the Chiefs? When they do,
wow.
because Charles
Yeah.
Omenihu and Isaiah Pacheco are coming back, who will matter to this team more? They obviously need more help on offense. Let's just face reality here.
Yeah.
That's why they're trading for DeAndre Hopkins. But the pass rush is maybe the only part of the defense where I'm like, I wouldn't mind seeing a little more juice there. And Charles Omenihu can provide that.
Yeah, the answer is Omenihu. Because between Pacheco and Omenihu, I've seen them replace Pacheco to a certain extent.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt's been really good.
He's been good. Now, I can't wait till Pacheco's back because I don't know if Kareem Hunt can carry this workload, as I've said, through the playoffs. So having Pacheco with him, it's going to be great for both of them. But I also saw Charles Omenihu last year have, 6.5 sacks? So if all of a sudden you're getting that kind of player to go with Chris Jones, to go with Karlaftis, to go with Mike Dana, to go with Turk Wharton, that defense gets a fresh set of legs late in the year, to an already elite defense, that has a chance to elevate them even more and allow them to mask maybe what is suddenly a secondary that maybe we find out has more problems if without Jalen Watson. I don't know. So that's why I would still say Omenihu more than a running back coming back. And that's, by the way, that's a credit to Kareem Hunt. That's why I'm able to say that. It's only because Kareem Hunt has been as effective as he has been.
No, that's partially it is that, but also I am really, truly interested because I told you earlier, I think this team has an identity. That's why DeAndre Hopkins is a good fit into it. The team has an identity. They know how they run the ball. They like to run the ball. They're doing more inside the tackle running than they've done at any point under Andy Reid. All these things. The idea that they might actually have two running backs who can effectively work in that scenario intrigues me greatly because it only strengthens their identity. Defensively, they are who they are. We know that. We're good. We feel good about it. The pass rush, because Chris Jones is an absolute monster, has been effective for a majority of the year. Maybe not perfect, but effective for a majority of the year. I think Omenihu is the answer, Gold. Like, I'm with you. I think he's probably the answer for the more impactful player. But he's also coming off of, I think, a more, explosive injury, right, than maybe Pacheco. As in,
I don't know, man.
It's tough because he's a running back and those things.
Running back, and I had pins in my ankle, and I'm cutting. I don't know, man. We'll see.
I know. I think maybe right. It's probably comparable depending on the position because of the positions they play. But
ACL injuries, players not to downplay it. It's a long road, and I'm sure Omenihu's worked his ass off through rehab and everything.
And he's pretty much just telling us all, "I'm going to dunk on your ass if you doubt me for half a second."
Look, I'm sure Pacheco will be ultra motivated when he comes back too. I'm not, but Charles Omenihu would not be the first defensive lineman to come back, what would be 9 months? 9 months after an ACL injury and be able to have an impact. Now, is Charles Omenihu going to be 100% of the player that he was last November? No. I mean, he still won't be a full year removed from the ACL. We always hear this, no matter what position it is, it takes the next year. But he's going to add a boost to this defense when he comes back, and hopefully it's a little bit before Thanksgiving.
Well, we've never really seen Isaiah Pacheco in a split backfield in the sense that, what if it is 60-40? Maybe he is got more juice. They're both fresher. They both, I think there could be this power dynamic in the running game I haven't probably seen since they were splitting carries between Thomas Jones and Jamal Charles. And I know that they're not that level of player, but they haven't had.
Neither one's going to punch each other either.
No. Yeah, it's
Thomas Jones.
It's still offensive to me that they started Thomas Jones an entire season when they had Jamal Charles.
You don't want to get punched by Thomas
on
Jones
their roster.
Still wouldn't. 10 years later or whatever, 15 years later, still wouldn't want to get punched.
A million years ago.
By Thomas Jones. Yeah.
But I do think that there's a chance that Pacheco could actually end up being this answer. If you made me bet, Omenihu, they need another defensive lineman. Felix Anudike-Uzomah has been playing fine. I don't want to downplay the fact that I don't think he's stunk. Okay, that's not what I think has existed there. But he's fine. He's been a rotational defensive line player, probably on par with that of the early days of Michael Dana when he was an effective rotational. I'd like to see more and more growth for the first round pick that he is, but he's gotten better. The growth is good. I'll take it. But they could use one more highly impactful because if he's last year's Charles Omenihu at any point, well then Karlaftis Jones and last year's Charles Omenihu, that's a real pass rush. That's can cause damage at any point of the game and can cause problems for you at any point in the game. I like that. So there's a better chance. I just wonder, when you talk about that ACL in a full year, can you just bounce back from that? I don't, and Charles Omenihu deleted a tweet, I think is what it was, but he had some stuff that maybe seemed like maybe the Chiefs were offering.
I'm glad you brought up social media for a second. Thank you for bringing up Twitter. Did you see we all dropped the ball on something? We all And I would have
No,
thought, you're a little more locked into hashtag Swifties than I am.
Mm-hmm.
If we would have been tracking that, we would have known days ago that DeAndre Hopkins was coming to Kansas City. Admittedly, I apologize. We dropped the ball. We should have known 4 days ago that DeAndre Hopkins was coming to Kansas City. Did you see what the Swifties have dug up? I thought they would have notified us of this.
Yeah, I thought that we were in a, like, you got to pass along information.
I thought we were aligned.
Damn.
No. So on Instagram 4 days ago, there was a video of DeAndre Hopkins with his family, all wearing Titans gear still, but they were dancing to 22 by Taylor Swift with the caption, "Rumor has it." And his family, look, I'm not saying Taylor Swift isn't obviously sung by everybody and popular, but we should have known. 4 days ago, he's in his car all happy, and they're all singing Taylor Swift. 4 days later, he gets traded. We should have known.
Maybe Taylor made a call. She's
actually
Nashville.
Her jet's picking up.
What? She's Nashville based? Are we sure?
She's based in a lot of places.
A lot of places now, but she was out of Nashville originally when she was like an up and coming musician. Do we think Taylor Swift had anything to do with this trade? Did she facilitate? That's the real question now.
First of all, I would say absolutely not. But second, if for whatever reason, if it did come out that she for whatever reason made a call and her jet was or at least her jet. If DeAndre Hopkins shows up on the Swift Eras Tour jet, people are going to lose it. People will lose it.
Travis is like, hey, I'm trying to get him in. Like, we really need him for Sunday.
They will lose it.
Your jet looks like it's still, like, I got the app or whatever. It looks like it's still in Nashville. Do you mind them just, like, giving them a little quick pop over here to Kansas City? That'd be great, hun. Do you mind? There's just no chance. Also, how does that know? Do you know where you're, like, there's that famous clip from the Brooklyn Nets owner when Stephen Colbert was interviewing right after he did, and he's like, well, I don't know where my yacht is. And he's like, well, what do you mean you don't know where your yacht is? He's like, when you got this amount of money, you just don't know where, like, things are all the time. Like, if I needed to get it, I'd figure it out. Do you think they just got, like, an app for the jet? Does she know where her jet is at all times? Or is it just like, it'll be somewhere where I need it?
Doesn't she have two?
She does. Do you know where the other jet is all the time? I guess is what I'm asking.
I mean, well,
do you have an app? Like, my kids have like a bus tracking app for when they get home from the bus. Do you just have that so you know where they're parked?
I don't think in that position you're worried about where your jet is. It's not just going to vanish. You have people that are in charge of your travel for you. You're not worried about. She's not filing the flight plan. So she's got somebody else is handling the bookings for her travel.
You're saying, is there like a Find My Yacht?
Essentially, yes. Like I have with my new car from Volkswagen December, right? I can just it'll just show me where the car is on
Find
GPS.
my iPhone, please. Track it for me. Find my yacht. I don't know where it's at.
As correctly, by the way, pointed out by the text line, the Tennessee Titans have now made another trade.
Okay.
They have traded with the Seahawks. The Seahawks are sending linebacker Jerome Baker and a 4th-round draft pick to the Titans for Ernest Jones the 4th,
who they traded with the Rams for like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
remember that?
Correct. So apparently the Seahawks are looking for a linebacker, or somebody's looking for a linebacker upgrade. The interesting part about the Titans is I hope they tank the hell out of it. They have a 3rd-round pick from the Titans because of the L'Jarius Sneed trade. That pick's been going up.
Yeah, the Titans are doing what they should be doing.
Heading straight up towards the 2nd round.
Yeah, the Titans are doing what they should be doing. Trading Hopkins, get a draft pick. Trade these pieces, get a draft pick. They obviously know Will Levis is not their quarterback of the future. They need as many picks. It'll be year 2 next year of this time a rookie head coach, a young head coach. So they're doing what they need to do. They got to blow that thing up. That's why signing Calvin Ridley, signing Sneed didn't really make a whole lot of sense. But for the Chiefs' sake, yeah, that pick is looking better and better.
They thought they were going to be good, though. Like, that's the truth.
I know.
They got a lot of yardage out of DeAndre Hopkins. They're like, maybe, here's the thing. They're not good, but they did the thing you're supposed to do. If you got a young quarterback and you're not sure, at least give him some talent to find out. Cool, now you know. He stinks, draft a quarterback. Yeah. Like, you gave him a chance to find out. The mistake teams have made before is not finding out whether that guy's no good.
Diana Rossini now reporting the Chiefs trade with DeAndre Hopkins is officially complete. All the final terms about what the compensation could be with the conditional pick in terms of Super Bowl appearance, that kind of stuff, is now officially complete. He is on his way to Kansas City. Not that we were worried it was going to fall apart, but it's always good to know that's official.
Question still is what time's he getting into the airport? You and I are going to be there in like.
But if he's on the private jet, he's probably landing downtown. Spoiler alert, Cody and I are not flying private to Vegas this afternoon. I know you guys. Cool. I know you guys thought we were, but no, we actually are flying Southwest.
I was waiting for those photos of you guys hanging out in the private jet.
We might have a nice vehicle picking us up, but we will be flying commercial.
If any of you do own a private jet who listen to this station, Alex and I are willing to ride on it pretty much anywhere and for any reason. Does that sound about right to you?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be a jet. Would you just get on like a little like 8-seater?
No.
Wow, really?
No.
That's a private plane.
No.
You will get on an 8-seat plane? I'll do that too.
Keyword jet.
It have to be a PJ?
No,
PJ or nothing for you?
No prop. No small prop.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
No, had a family member's distant family member recently on a small plane in Iowa. Unfortunately, have a plane crash, so I'm out on the old small plane. Hopping on. Nope. No, thank you. I'm out.
I'm willing to ride in that one too. So to be clear, I'm willing on any.
Also, on that small plane, it'd take us a little bit to get to Vegas, Cody. Need the jet.
I took one. I told you I flew in one little like small commuter plane, essentially that was privately owned, like by my grandpa's friend or whatever. When I was like 10 years old, and I went to Breckenridge for the 4th of July.
What else is on your flight list? Because you said you haven't flown in a helicopter yet.
No, not on a helicopter. Well, we've I've been on a blimp. How have I been on a blimp but not a helicopter?
You're also missing
I
on a
gotta
PJ.
get on a helicopter.
So a helicopter and a private jet.
Well, I was on a small, it was like a 6-seat plane. Does that count as a PJ? I mean, it was like, it wasn't a prop. It was like, it flew like a jet, right? It was like a jet engine.
Sure, it counts.
Kind of feel like it counts. It counts as close as I'm going to be.
How quickly did you get where you were going, I guess, is the question.
I don't remember. I mean, I was a kid. I don't know. I was a kid.
I've never been on a private jet. I know that.
Not really sure. Someone says only commercial jetliners for them.
More details on DeAndre Hopkins. Ian Rappaport also saying the deal is done. Official terms here, the Titans are going to pay about half of Hopkins' salary. So I think that's $4 million, if I remember right, from the numbers we discussed earlier. Quote, it may take some time, but Hopkins will have to sign actually a new contract with the Titans. Then he'll get traded. So just because of how they're eating money and stuff, the Titans will technically sign Hopkins to a new contract and then trade him. That's the way it's going to be filed on the official NFL transaction log.
Yeah, which means they have to get that done in order for the Chiefs to take on. Because remember, the Chiefs only had $4 million.
That was part of the terms of the deal. This had to happen. Yes,
they needed a player in which they could do that. Look, I woke up this morning and I was excited because DeAndre Hopkins makes the Chiefs better instantly.
So because the Titans still have to do the contract part, Andy's going to talk in 8 minutes. It's not going to be. It's not going to be official by the time Andy's at the podium. So we're going to. I'm curious to see if he'll even say anything.
I mean,
we'll see.
It's reported though as complete. Maybe that's enough.
He might say, obviously, he might say, obviously, he's a great player. Been in this league,
Not sure if Brett's dotted the I's, crossed the T's.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that one. Brett's kind of finalizing that. Obviously, you guys are aware what's out there. Yeah, yeah, that's basically what we'll get. Something like that.
For those asking, yes, I have traveled by train.
Have I traveled by train? I haven't been on an Amtrak, if that's what you mean.
I've been on a train a couple times.
I guess
Cody and Gold train ride to St. Louis for the Chiefs Royals I-70 series next year.
Does Subway count, or you're talking legit?
Oh, I've been
train?
on a Subway.
No, I'm talking train. Like
I'm not also
chugga choo choo. You know.
Oh, you know what? I take that back.
Honestly.
I've been on one in Chicago from a suburb into the city. That's a train. So I have.
Okay, there you go. On the L.
Well, in the city, that's technically so multiple. I'm talking about there's one like further out, but yes, I've been in city.
See, you've been on multiple trains. You're good.
So.
I took a train to Jeff City when we were in high school for some I don't know, some conference thing.
Text line is now flight tracking for us. They gave us a flight number. There's a flight leaving Nashville on an executive airshare flight. Thank you. He's on his way. All right, he's on his way.
This is like college recruiting
or head coach search. I was on a runway when Charlie Weiss landed in Lawrence. That one's a funny one to look back at. Everybody was excited at the time.
What a waste of time
Charlie
that was by you.
may have committed a federal crime running across an active runway to get to the
Yeah,
Jets.
I'd say not maybe of any part.
It's way past. It's been 15 years. I think we're good.
Yeah, I'm saying, yeah, they're not going to charge you, but you definitely committed that.
Oh, yes, I think that happened. Anyway, up next, we're expected to hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes right here on your home for the Chiefs, 96.5 The Fan.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for K-State Athletics. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
At Gann Asphalt and Concrete, they are one contractor, all things parking lot. They take care of every little single part of the project. Look, it's always kind of difficult when you're like, I don't know, how many different things do we need done in the parking lot? How many different companies do I need to call? Do I just start with one? Whether it's a giant project where you got every little thing you need to start down from scratch, or just little things like potholes or faded striping or ADA ramps to make it accessible for the people who come into your business, Gann Asphalt and Concrete can take care of those needs for you. It doesn't matter whether they're maintenance decisions or big time decisions. That's why they say they are all things parking lot. I always say, I really do mean it. It's the first thing people see in your business, and if you don't pay attention to that, people won't pay attention to you. Take care of the people who visit your business regularly, and do it with a local company that's been serving the Kansas City area for 30 years. I'm personally friends with a lot of people over there because it's a business that I trust. I like working with local companies. I like working with local companies who have been in business a long time, and I know will stand by the quality of their work. 30 years doesn't happen by accident. So whether you need that seal coating or drainage system, call to Gann. We'll take care of those needs. Look at the reviews yourself. Go to GANNasphalt.com and you can see for yourself. That's GANNasphalt.com.
My name is Michael, and I am a Centric graduate. I was burnt out at my sales job and just going through the motions. I decided it was finally time to stop putting it off and make a change in my life. Centric's hands-on training and fast program was the step that I needed. I graduated with the certifications and real-world experience to get a career in tech. I got a job and haven't looked back, only to a better future. Don't put it off any longer. Visit Centric.com to take control of your future. That's Centric.com.
Men, this is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. It seems like everything we hear these days is about political races, and yet there's a far more important race that you run for yourself every day. It's the race to be the best that you can be. But if your libido is low, if your workouts aren't productive, if you've got brain fog and you're tired all the time, you may feel like you're losing that race, and maybe even that your best days are behind you. But the truth is that they're likely not, because if you're feeling like this, it's probable you're simply suffering from low testosterone, a condition that affects a huge percentage of men as we age. At Heartland Men's Health, we're experts in treating low T. We've successfully treated thousands of men for the condition, and if you're like most guys, you'll start seeing results in just a few weeks. Better sleep patterns, higher energy, improved mental clarity, more productive workouts, and your libido will likely increase as well. So get back to winning your race by calling us. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com.
Right now, 38 states allow sports betting, including 7 of Missouri's neighboring states. Amendment 2 gives Missouri sports fans the freedom to bet on games too, and that will generate over $100 million for our schools. Amendment 2 is endorsed by the Chiefs, Cardinals, Royals, Blues, and Missouri's 2 biggest newspapers, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and the Kansas City Star. Here's Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith asking you to vote yes on 2.
Back in my day, I was the wizard of the infield. Now, I'm a grandfather. That's why I'm voting yes on Amendment 2. It means over $100 million for Missouri schools and teachers, and no more broken promises. There's a constitutional guarantee that the money goes to our schools, and legalizing sports betting is great for us fans too. That's why the Royals, Chiefs, Blues, and Cardinals all join me in saying yes on Amendment 2.
Paid for by Winning for Missouri Education, Mike Pridmore, Treasurer.
At Main Street Credit Union, your success is our goal. Whether you're a financial rookie or a pro, we're here to help. If you're looking to pay down debt, improve your credit score, or buy a car, we'll be right there with you. We're dedicated to providing guidance, education, and essential resources to empower you on your journey toward financial success. We'll help you understand your financial options so even financial rookies will be on their way to reaching their goals. Go to mainstreetcu.org for more information.
It's better over here. If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch.
With autopay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $300 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. And one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
Guess what, people? Wendy's has new saucy nugs. You heard me. Wendy's nugs now come in 7 saucy flavors. Buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, spicy ghost pepper. You can literally hear your taste buds after every bite. I'm serious. Listen to mine. Okay, that's just me playing with sound effects, but you got the idea. For a whole new way to nug, gotta be Wendy's.
Participating U.S. Wendy's.
In just a few days, Cody and I are headed back out to Las Vegas with our friends over at Circa, getting set for some football, going to do some shows out there. And as I told you guys back in August, one nice thing now when I travel is I don't have to remember my contacts and whether or not I brought contact solution, or maybe the night's a little late and wondering how on earth my eyes are going to actually allow me to put contacts in the next morning. None of that matters anymore thanks to my friends over at DuraVision. I made that phone call about 4 years ago to find out that, yes, I was, in fact, a candidate for LASIK. And a few days later, I went in for my procedure, and I have been seeing better than I ever have without contacts or glasses ever since. You got to go with the best if you're talking about something as serious and as important as your vision and as your eyes. That's why that decision for me was DuraVision. They've performed over 65,000 vision correction procedures. You should be next. Give them a call, 913-491-3330, or go online to DuraVision.com to schedule that consultation and tell them Gold from 96.5 The Fan sent you.
Listen to the Chiefs and Raiders game on Sunday with pregame starting at noon. Kickoff at 3:25 with Mitch, Danon, and Kling right here on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
We are expected to hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes any minute now. If they're running a little late today, I think we might know why that is the case. But that's what we're waiting at this point in time. Also, as multiple people have pointed out, we looked it up as well. Yes, there is a private jet flight scheduled from Nashville to downtown Wheeler Airport, scheduled to leave actually 5 minutes ago initially. It keeps getting pushed back. Maybe they got to get that contract signed. If you're just joining us, the contract I'm talking about is because the Titans are eating money. Ian Rappaport is reporting that he actually has to sign a new deal with Tennessee first and then get traded, just processing in the way they have to make everything official.
Chiefs really broke, man. They ain't got no money. They're like, hey, can you sign him? Can you sign him to a brand new contract in order for us to go make the trade? I mean, it's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
But it does make sense based on that.
I think the beautiful thing about this trade, though, is if you were a fan out there and you were worried about giving up too much for any receiver, and you're like, hey, they're in the middle of this run right now. I want to keep this thing going for years and years and years. We got a lot of text over the last week or so, like, nope, don't want to give up basically anything. Certainly don't want to give up a fourth rounder or third rounder. Then there's the other faction of fans that said, hey, whatever it takes. You gave up a fifth-round pick. You didn't have to mortgage the future to do this. But let's hear from Andy Reid right now on 96.5 The Fan.
We'll just have to see how things go as we go forward. Look for the challenge of playing the Raiders. Good football team. Antonio does a nice job with that group, as do his coordinators, Patrick, Luke, and then Tom, who you guys know. And they've got Marv Lewis on that staff too, who, go way back a lot of years, knowing each other, but all good football coaches, and they've got good players. So we got to make sure we have a good week of practice, and we'll get that going today. So that time's yours.
Coach, I know nothing's official about DeAndre Hopkins. The league tweeted out he's joining your team. Maybe not specifically about him being on your team, but you've competed against him many times over the years. Just what kind of player has he been to compete against?
Yeah, Veach is dealing with all that, so I'm hush on that. Yeah.
With Juju, did he just maybe push it too hard to try to get back and play? I know he wanted to play. Probably be a little more cautious with him now, or?
Yeah, we'll be cautious with him. Yeah, we thought we were being cautious the last time, so with him, but this time it's a little bit worse. So, yeah.
Just around the league, there's been a lot of injuries with a lot of wide receivers. Do you have any kind of pulse on just how wide it's been?
Yeah, I mean, these things are kind of secular. They happen like that. But I don't have an answer for you now. Yeah.
Andy Hopkins is not here, and he will not be practicing today. Is that right?
I know nothing.
Okay. Andy, last time you guys played the Raiders, obviously was the last time you lost. It's probably hard to summarize, but what was it that you pushed off from after that game that sort of reset your team late last year?
Yeah, they came in and got after us, and that's their personality, and so we didn't handle that the right way. But I thought we learned from it and got better for it, which was the important thing after something like that.
It helped you know what your own strengths and weaknesses were a little more, and how to contour to that. Is that fair to say?
No, I don't think necessarily. I just think we could have been a little bit more ready, which is my responsibility, and that part didn't take place.
Coach, Kareem Hunt and you guys called runs between the tackles record times in 16. How tough is somewhat of an identity shift on the fly when circumstances call for some of these guys?
Yeah, well, I mean, in his case, I mean, it was important. I mean, for himself, to come in and do well, and he had stayed in shape, which I think was important, and he's been able to contribute and help us keep moving forward, and I think everybody appreciates that part, but I think most of all, he was on a mission to get that, make it right, and so my hat goes off to the kid for that.
Andy, with the players you have on board, we're about to talk to Nicole and Jaden on both sides of the ball. Just what are you seeing at the confidence level on the receivers that you presently have on the roster, and then obviously the defensive matchup?
Yeah, sure. I like the receivers we have. I've mentioned that before. We've got guys that can step in and play, and everybody has confidence in them. So, that we're fortunate that way. I think Veach has done a good job with all that, and giving everybody, all the coaches an opportunity to be successful because of that. And these guys, opportunities, when they arise, they've got to take advantage of them, and that's what they do. And people believe in them.
Andy, back to Kareem Hunt for a second. How have you seen him make a difference in the running game? Are there specific ways you've seen him come in and give you guys a lift that way?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had Pop before that, and then the guys that stepped in for Pop did a nice job. So, and rotated with him. And so we've, he's just a different style. They're all of them are actually different, and but he's got that pounded in at you style, and it's helped us, that way. So you lose a great player like we did with Pacheco, and these other guys step up, and Kareem come off the street and help us out. That's great, and we still have Hilaire sitting back there, who's a great player too. So it's a good position to be in, is it, from a coach's standpoint.
Andy, with the player of Maxx Crosby's caliber, what do you kind of have to be mindful of whatever your call plays there?
Yeah, I mean, everything. He's a great player. He's one of the best in the business of what he does, and he's going to give you an honest down every down. So he doesn't take plays off, and our guys know that and respect the heck out of him. So you got to be ready to play 4 quarters against him.
Todd? Coach, you guys, maybe in June, when you thought your roster was going to be linked before the injuries, you probably had a whole big scheme plan for the season. And as Pete mentioned, on the fly, you've had to kind of change a lot of things. I know you love drawing up plays and you work tirelessly. Has this been a different kind of year to do that? And who have maybe you leaned on the staff to kind of work through all of that stuff?
No, all the coaches do a great job. We really haven't had to change it much. I mean, the guys have stepped in and done a nice job. So we've been able to ride that part of it. But I'm fortunate to have coaches that are great teachers and motivators. The guys like to play for them. And so it's, and they want to do well. The players want to do well, the coaches want to do well. So I'm fortunate that way.
Andy, with Hollywood Brown, I mean, when he first got injured and had the re-injury, I know that the timeline was pretty lengthy. I just wondered in the past few weeks, have you had any more finite timeline about the possibility that he's back for you this year?
Yeah, he's doing great. That I can tell you. He's doing great. Seems to be on schedule or a little bit ahead of schedule. So I can't tell you that. I mean, I don't know that. It's going to be a while.
At 22, You're listening to the 96.5 The Fan, KFNZ, FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 in Kansas City.
We're going to head back out to Andy Reid and hear the rest of his press conference.
Doing very well for what he's got there. Yeah.
Thanks, Coach. Oh, well, okay.
Good.
Well,
damn it. That was real smooth, guys.
I'm glad we went back. Out there. Look, we got the answer we thought we were going to get from Andy Reid. He was asked.
Might have given us more in Hollywood there.
On Andy, he was asked about DeAndre Hopkins. Said, quote, Veach is dealing with all that. I'm hush on that. He was then asked if DeAndre Hopkins is here or if he will be practicing. And he said,
I know nothing.
Which will be a good drop for us to have forever. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I know nothing.
Yeah.
Andy Reid when it's 2nd and 1 from the 3-yard line.
Yeah.
I know nothing.
What? Oh, I can't make jokes. His team's undefeated. I can't make one crack. One crack? One joke about the only thing he messes up? Might be the only thing I don't
also,
like.
No, by all accounts, DeAndre Hopkins is not in Kansas City yet. There is reportedly, and we have it pulled up, there's a private jet from Nashville that was scheduled to leave 15 minutes ago for Kansas City, and it still has not taken off yet.
Trade over.
So,
they're backing out.
You guys got yanked into following it now, too.
I got to pull it up. Why not? Why not have fun? It's a fun day. Why not? The team's 6-0. They just added a receiver. Even if he's not the superstar he was 4 years ago, he is still a big addition. It's a huge trade that we didn't think was necessarily going to happen today. That's the other part. DeAndre Hopkins in the past had been linked to Kansas City, but his name was not the name that everybody was talking about to get traded here in the last 48 hours. That name was Cooper Kupp. Mm-hmm. That name was Deontay Johnson or Darius Slayton. Waking up today and seeing this news, and it sounds like from all the reporting, including from our own Bob Fesco earlier this morning, like this was something that was happening overnight, and it was something that maybe kind of got finalized around 5 o'clock this morning. So that's what makes it fun and exciting. Spoiler, in this business, I love when something like new and fresh and breaking happens. It's the best. We can plan out our show like we did all we want yesterday, but when something breaking happens, it's kind of fun. Anyway, let's hear from Patrick Mahomes.
Acquired players
What's the process of if someone new were to come in, getting them ready for a game in a couple days?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just getting with the coaches. I think our coaches do a great job of getting guys up to speed, and you've seen that throughout this year already. Bringing in guys, getting them up to speed fast, and then letting them go out there and make impact and do what they're great at. And so that's stuff that I think the coaches really do well. And then at me as a quarterback, I just try to be on the same page with the guys that are in there whenever I'm taking a snap.
Patrick, hypothetically, you had a receiver that was good at contested catches. Like, what's your comfort level in throwing like that, those sorts of throws on the field?
Yeah, I think in my time, we've had receivers that can make some of those contested catches, and once you build that relationship and build that trust, you put them up there and let guys go out there and make plays. I think that's what's special about Coach Reid's offense is that it adapts to whoever's in there. He has different ways he can utilize your strengths, and then it's my job to go out there and put guys in chances, give them chances to go out there and make plays.
What's your biggest takeaway, Patrick, going through the experience before the past 2 years of bringing in a receiver mid-season? What are perhaps a good takeaway that you learned from it and something that you can use from that experience for this new one?
I think the biggest thing for me is just whenever a new guy gets into the building is just getting on that same page as quickly as possible. Even with guys like Kareem in the running back position, just being able to talk with him throughout the protection calls, talk with him kind of throughout the plays, making sure he knows what his job is to do, and then letting him go out and execute it. And I've dealt with that throughout my entire career, bringing new guys in. That's part of the NFL. And like I said, I think the coaches do a great job of making sure guys are prepared, and so they can go out there and have success.
Patrick, what do you remember most about that last Raiders game last year, and what sort of it did for you guys, the mentality after that?
I think more than anything, more than even the play on the field, I think it was just a wake-up call for us to know that we're not going to be able to just come to the game and win. We kind of battled through the year, and it was like everybody was just we were just trying to build, especially I feel like myself, we were just building for the playoffs. We weren't even worried about the regular season, and I think you've seen that mentality since then as the guys are really taking every single practice and getting the best out of it so that every single week we can play our best football. And if we don't play our best football, we try to get better that next week. And I think that's translated into this season. And so we're continuing to get better as the season goes on, and that's how you have to play in the NFL. And it's still early, but I feel like we've had a great start to it.
Does it seem to be that it would be just as much that way? You're just as conscious of that way as ever now that you're actually playing the Raiders again, like that mentality is what will be front of your mind?
Yeah, I mean, we know we're going to get their best shot. I mean, that's kind of how it's been every single week. But obviously, when you play a divisional opponent, like I've said in the past, it's a real rivalry between our two teams and our two organizations. You're going to get their best shot, and we're gonna go out there and match that and let the best team win.
Is there any more to this one? I know they all count the same, divisional games, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the talk afterwards that they had the secret how to stop you, the little Kermit the Frog thing, all that stuff. Does that resonate with you at all this week?
I mean, I don't know if you would say resonates with me. I think just knowing that the competitive spirit that they have on that side is going to match the competitive spirit that we have. I think it's going to be a fun football game that we're going to get the best out of each and every player on that football field. And like I said, the best team will win.
Patrick, with a guy like Maxx Crosby, what do you have to be mindful of when you're back there?
Yeah, I mean, you have to know where he's at on every single snap because he plays extremely hard every single snap, and he's extremely talented. And to have a guy that be that talented and to have that high of a motor, that's special. It takes a lot because you don't always feel great, and you might not be getting. He gets chipped or he gets whatever it is. He doesn't let that bother him. He doesn't let that affect him. He just keeps playing extremely hard every single snap, and so a great challenge for us to go up against him in that defense. And so I think the guys are ready for it.
To Nick's point, you guys have jawed back and forth a little bit, you and Maxx. Just how would you describe the respect level between you guys, when it is off the field?
Yeah, it's a high level of respect. I mean, I respect guys that are going to leave it out there every single snap and do whatever they can to let their team have a chance to win. And that's the type of guys I want in this building. And that's what you see with guys on our team is that guys are going to lay it on the line every single snap to win the football game. And that's what it takes to be great in this league. Because, I mean, everybody's good. I mean, everybody's good in this league. It's about who's going to do the extra thing, the extra step, the extra pass rusher, the extra throw, whatever it is to make sure their team has a better chance to win. And he's one of those guys. And we're on the field. We're going to compete. That's the type of guys that we are. But we have a ton of respect mutually between each other off of it.
Are there ways
Let's go across the room, Adam. Go ahead, Mike.
Just not to linger on this too much, Patrick, but that shot you took to the throat the other day, did you hear anything from Collins, or do you have any reason to know by now whether it was inadvertent or you felt bad about it?
I honestly don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, it's not like anyone got hurt or anything like that. I mean, I threw an interception. I was more upset about the interception than actually getting hit. So whenever you throw an interception, you set yourself up to get hit by somebody, and so that's on me.
Dennis?
As a quarterback who spent so much time with receivers during their offseason, I mean, bring guys down there and work with them, how big of a difference is it between having that whole offseason to work with a guy and that short time? I mean, clearly it's a difference, but how big of a difference is it for timing and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it probably affects some things, I think, at least initially, but at the same time, I mean, in this league, you have to be able to adapt fastly, and I think that's something that we've been great at is putting guys in position to succeed, getting the reps when we can throughout the week, and then at the end of the day, you got to go out there and play football, and obviously you want as much time as possible, but at the same time, you have to be able to adapt and on the fly and make stuff happen whenever you're out there.
Your long run down the sideline last week, people have kind of gone back and looked at it. They think it was like somewhat controversial. It looked like you were going to go out of bounds. What's that line like to make sure that they don't think you're going out of bounds and following whatever rules are, as far as like the unwritten rules of football?
I didn't believe on that play right there I was really showing like I was going to go out of bounds. I don't want to ever put a defender in a bad spot. I mean, I know that we're all competing, so I'm going to, when I go out of bounds, I'm going to go out of bounds. I'm not going to try to fake a guy out by using like a loophole in the rules. At the time, I was going to cut back and get the first down. And then once I cut back, I was going to do one of those dives for the first down, but I cut back and realized I had a lane to run. So I went down the sideline, and then, I mean, I literally ran out of bounds on that exact play. So when I go out of bounds, I'm going to go out of bounds. And whenever I'm trying to get a first down, I'll get a first down. But I'm not trying to use a loophole or anything in the rules to try to cheat in any way.
Go ahead.
Patrick, last Friday night, you guys got to be on hand for a pretty good high school football game. You got to watch Coach Nagy's son lead a game-winning drive. How important is it for professionals such as yourselves to have a presence like that in the community?
Yeah, I mean, one, in the community, I think the Chiefs organization in general has had a great history of having a great presence in the community. It's something that Clark Hunt talks about in the first meeting we have every single year is giving back to the community because they give so much to us and being at Arrowhead every single week and showing support to our foundations. And so just being out there, being at a game, being at a sport I love, letting my kids run around, and then seeing Coach Nagy's son and Coach Merritt's son go at it. I mean, those kids I've seen grow up. So it's cool to see them live out their dream. Both of them will move on and go to Division I colleges. And so it was cool to see their last matchup that they'll get to go up against each other, and it was a great football game.
We'll do our last four. Go ahead, Adam.
Patrick, in what ways have you seen Kareem make a difference in the running game since he's been here?
Yeah, I think he's just done a great job of getting what's there and then making plays whenever his number's called. He seems like every single time he's falling forward, getting 5 yards, 6 yards, whatever it is, and that makes my job easier at the quarterback position and the offense just in general when you're in those advantageous situations and down and distances. And so Kareem has done a great job. He's done a great job not only running the ball, catching the ball. He's done a great job in pass protection. And I think as we start getting more and more guys back and healthier, he might not have to have 30 carries or whatever it is, but whenever he gets his opportunity, he's going to go out there and make it count.
Harold?
I guess that's it.
They cut off Harold, all right, huh? They cut off our guy Harold. Cool.
In fairness, he said last question with Adam, and then, maybe they just changed their mind. So, one, he's also not going to say much about DeAndre Hopkins. Maybe this goes back to the Jeremy Maclin collusion case a billion years ago where Andy was docked a third-round pick. They're going to play it safe till this deal is official, so we won't hear more about DeAndre Hopkins either. But this mini controversy, seemingly outside of Kansas City, is the most crybaby version of this I've seen yet. This frustration over Patrick Mahomes supposedly putting a defender in an undefensible situation where he can't even tackle the man or he'll be called for 15 yards. Like Patrick Mahomes somehow leads the league in roughing calls. He doesn't. We've done this math. Gold, you've pointed out the math in this. He actually statistically ranks as one of the worst at getting calls of personal fouls against him. He's just trying to get a first down. You heard him. They decided not to guard the sideline, so he got it kept running. On that same play, he ran out of bounds.
Yes.
So like this like mini controversy, and it's only outside of Kansas City, and from whiny fans who want to use the Kansas City is getting every call against them nonsense. He didn't do anything wrong on that play. He went for a first down. They didn't guard, and you got to run for another 30 yards. That's on you.
Yeah, you brought it to my attention yesterday. I wasn't even aware that fans outside of Kansas City were complaining about that play. I didn't even think it. You brought that to my attention yesterday. I was like, wait, that's really a thing. And clearly, I guess it is outside of this city. Also, you're right. He ran out of bounds later in the play, but you can't tackle him late, even if he was out of bounds. Nobody is saying, though, near the sideline, you can still put some hands on him. My goodness. So, like, it's an excuse. No, the defenders played it wrong. They either thought he was going out of bounds or Mahomes was smart and cut up. And they had a bad angle on the play. That happens. Same thing in the AFC title game. So that just add that to the list of people's annoyance with Kansas City. Anything they can point out that they think is the reason why the Chiefs are having success and their team sucks, they're going to come up with. Why are the Chiefs 6-0? They got all these. They're still winning. It's just not fair. They're going for a 3-peat.
The league wants Taylor Swift to win.
DeAndre Hopkins, you got traded there. Now there'll be some excuse that'll claim that wasn't fair too to trade for him. It shouldn't be so annoying, but it is, and that's why we were joking earlier with Ross Tucker. If this team does somehow find a way to not only three-peat, but which would be in its own right another FU to the rest of the league, if they can somehow have a perfect season while they do that, then there truly is nothing, and I mean nothing that anybody can ever say, and there's an easy automatic response. They won close. We almost beat them. That crap is already happening. None of it matters, and so you get stuff like this where you have not players, but fans in other cities upset that Patrick Mahomes was able to run down the sideline, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes with the winning, and I should probably just accept it. But him having to answer questions on what is, in my opinion, a non-controversy doesn't make any sense based on at least this. Now, back to DeAndre Hopkins for a minute.
I know nothing.
Obviously, everyone is familiar with the Hopkins news at this point that according to multiple reports, it's finalized. They just got to rework the contract. Everything's been agreed to and everything else in between there, good to go, at least on that end. But the question being related to whether or not this was the right deal. You and I both know Deontay Johnson maybe on the block for multiple teams. Darius Slayton's been mentioned in trade stuff. Hell, a week ago, you could have had Amari Cooper for a third instead of a fifth. That obviously the fifth could turn into a fourth if the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl. Here's the thing. I like this trade. I want to make that clear before I say it. But if you had told me a week ago, these were the two trades on the table, a fifth round for DeAndre Hopkins or a third round for Amari Cooper, I'd have made the Amari Cooper deal. You want to be honest? I'd have probably made that deal instead. But also, wouldn't it have to be a second for because like the Bills pick, even though it's bad in the third round, it's not as bad as the Chiefs.
And that's where some of the reporting was that it was going to take a second. Because the Hopkins trade does make you wonder more why they didn't have interest in Amari Cooper. I think now we have our answer. We were wondering, was it one of three things? Was it age? Was it draft pick compensation? Was it finances? Well, if we take a look at the DeAndre Hopkins trade, the age clearly was not because Hopkins is 2 years older than Amari Cooper. So it was not because Amari Cooper was old, because Hopkins is older. Was it the finances? No, because the Titans are eating half the salary on Hopkins, but it's still $4 million. And Cooper's $800,000 is what the Bills are paying. So what's the one outlier? The draft pick compensation that the Chiefs were not willing to give up
because this seems
a
like
day to
less
pick.
money for Cooper.
That has to be the only reason. I mean, either that or they just like flat out for whatever you just don't like Amari Cooper. Like I think it's very clear that it is the draft pick compensation why that trade did not happen.
Do you think that that's just because like we just talked about the cap situation? Just they're thinking their need for more draft picks down the road is going to become important or just their current success rate. Because I don't know if you've paid attention, but the Chiefs' defensive roster is almost entirely drafted players. I mean, like a shockingly high percentage of their entire defensive roster is drafted players. Both starting cornerbacks, 80% of the starting defensive line, most of the secondary. I think it's just Justin Reed maybe and Drew Tranquill. That might be the only two defensive starters who weren't drafted by them. Or just like, some teams value draft picks or assets versus. This just felt like a year where they had an extra third-round pick. If there's a time to trade for Cooper, I am a little surprised if this was the deal they were willing to make that Cooper wouldn't have been more on the table. Although, in fairness, when the Amari Cooper trade was made, Juju Smith-Schuster was healthy.
Yes.
So, like, that's not nothing, right? Juju Smith-Schuster was physically able to be on a football field when that deal happened.
Yeah, I think there was way more urgency. They had to make a move once Juju went down. Let's remember what DeAndre Hopkins is likely to do. I know in the past we viewed him as a guy that was running on the outside, and yes, the contested catches are very much a thing. But I think for the Chiefs, he is going to give them the inside routes more than anything else. They lost that with Rice. They lost that with Juju Smith-Schuster. That, to me, you're going to see Hopkins in the slot plenty. As well. Yeah, he can make the outside catch, but I think at this point in his career, we're going to see him in some of the inside routes, giving them the underneath stuff that we saw from a few other players. By the way, I'm fine with them not willing to trade a second or a third round pick for any play. I understand the logic there.
They've given him a third round in each of the last two drafts, so it's not been an unwillingness.
No, but I'm fine if that's the reason. We didn't know the reason before. It's just now very obvious why they didn't make the Amari Cooper trade, because they're getting a receiver that's older and they're giving up actually more money to make it happen for Hopkins.
Is any part of this, Brett Veach, the learning robot, just like anybody else, is any part of the unwillingness to give up a third round pick the relative production you got out of back-to-back third-round pick trades each of the last 2 seasons? They gave up a third for McCole Hardman. They gave up a third for Kadarius Toney. I don't want to get back into whether they won the trade or not, but from a pure, well, because everyone's going to have a different opinion. If you're just saying statistically, they didn't, right? If you're saying Golden Eye's stance has been, if you win the Super Bowl, essentially, I don't care what moves you made, they worked. Well, then you can't really argue against that on the other side.
Yeah.
But from a pure production standpoint, the third-round picks they gave up, they did not get great value out of that, out of the production standpoint. Toney was pretty much a non-factor in this offense, except for 1 2-yard catch in a Super Bowl and 1 punt return. And then McCole Hardman was more of an effect last year, but still mostly just that 1 catch in the Super Bowl and a punt return, right?
Walk-off touchdown in overtime.
Yeah, it's and again, that goes back to the value part. But when they traded for those players, they thought they would be involved in the offense, and they weren't. So part of me thinks that the reason Brett Veach was unwilling to give up a third-round pick in the middle of the year for a third consecutive year is because 2 years previous they had done it, had not gotten the value out of it. They wanted to reduce their cost on it.
You might be right. Yeah, you might be right. By the way, I would hope that's not the reason. I think Brett Veach is way too good of a GM for that to be the reason. What I mean by that is I don't think you should not make a move because you're afraid that it will quote unquote
fail. No, but I think it happens.
It might. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's wild to suggest that that's what is occurring. I'm just saying I don't think that's how you should operate, and I don't think that's necessarily how Brett Veach operates, considering I think he's the best GM in football now. It looks even more so than ever based off of Howie Roseman getting fleeced for trading for Jahan Dotson with the Commanders. The real quick, the Eagles gave him a third-round pick for Jahan Dotson from the Commanders. Jahan Dotson, look at his stats this year. They gave up just as much compensation as the Bills gave up for Amari Cooper.
They got ripped off.
And that's the genius Howie Roseman in Philadelphia that we're told is better than Brett Veach. Anyway, back to...
I don't know why people are still on that.
People, not in Kansas City, obviously.
Because the draft thing, I think, is all.
Draft thing? Have you watched Brett Veach's hit rate?
The Howie Roseman...
but I think it's the Georgia Bulldog, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's working out great for them in Philly recently. But, that's a whole separate topic, but that's my fault. As far as Brett Veach and his unwillingness or more willingness to trade, I don't think that is impacting what compensation they're willing to give up. Like, oh, man, we gave up a third-round pick for Kadarius Toney. It didn't, quote-unquote, work, even though I think it did. But it didn't work. We won't do that again. Different players, different years, different circumstances. I don't think you operate in that way. I just don't believe a general manager of his quality operates that way.
I wonder if this is not the reason, but it's a little bit underlying. Yeah. When they made the Toney trade, was that he's going to be here longer than just this year? Where for them, they're all in on the three-peat. They want this 1 year. Is it worth 10 games, 15 games? For a third-round pick. I wonder if that might be the reason why he didn't go Amari, because he's like, we're not going to bring him back next year. I don't want to spend that amount on Amari Cooper where I can spend a fifth on DeAndre and not feel like I'm giving up too much.
It was like a sixth, I guess, for McCole, not a third. But
so one time they gave him a third, was Toney.
I don't know if that had anything to do with. I'm not willing to separate a third-round pick that could be used for the future for 12 games or 15 games.
You know what I'm saying, though, is they've already shown a willingness to do that, but it was for a controllable player. which obviously Kadarius Toney was. They thought they were going to get more than 1 year out of Toney. That didn't obviously pan out. But technically he was on the roster for more than a year, but whatever. Yeah. But so when you look at it, they've shown a willingness to do this. So if you're saying why this one versus that one, there are only two real logical answers, unless it is that he didn't want to give it up for a third consecutive year, give up more draft pick compensation for wide receiver. And they haven't seemed to have a problem with that. So it is either they just like DeAndre Hopkins fit in the offense better than they like Amari Cooper's. That could be one of the potential reasons. Or what you said, Gold, the more logical reason, which is they didn't want to give up a third, a second. They didn't want to have to pay that kind of price. But then the issue with that line of thinking is there's a ton of reporting that suggests they called up the Rams and were like, hey, what do you guys need for old Cooper Kupp? And at least they were trying, and they would have known that that was going to cost more than a fifth.
Yes, I guess I disagree with that. I disagree with that. Yes, there's reporting they called. Just because they called the Rams doesn't mean they were willing to give up a second or third round pick. Quite the opposite. They called. The Rams can ask for a second-round pick. Until the Rams get a second-round pick, it doesn't mean that's what they're actually getting.
I just think that it's better than a fifth. When you pick up that phone
might have been a conditional third, might have been a conditional fourth, but Cooper Kupp, if he gets traded for a second-round pick, that team that trades for him is making a big mistake.
It's a big risk.
Who the hell's giving up a second-round pick for Cooper Kupp
it might have been a third,
in 2024?
Tampa Bay might be that desperate.
Yeah,
that'd be the only team that I think would do it.
Who's leading that division right now?
I think it's still Tampa, isn't it? Or is it the Falcons? I think the Falcons and Tampa are both tied at 4-3.
Divisions. You're right. The Saints are 2-5, and the Panthers are the worst team in football. So,
and the Falcons haven't been all of exactly what we thought they might be, I guess, to this point.
We just pretend. Yeah, they haven't, but also that goes back to the same thing. This is the part. The draft pick compensation thing is funny because I'm assuming you saw too. There are some Chiefs fans that think they've paid too high a price, and I am stunned by that. What do you think? A fifth? A fifth? So that you just didn't want them to trade for a wide receiver? You straight up
That's
just
what
thought,
that means.
You thought that they should just go with Sky. What did you want them to give up? They should just go with Sky Moore?
You know the response is going to be. You know the response, right?
What?
You know their answer to your question, I don't agree with. Their answer is, we have Justin Ross. We have Nico Remigio, Cody. There's Hunter Renfrow in free agency. That's the response.
But if that's your response, you better never have ever said, I've said this with other things, you better have never once said in your life the sentence "in Veach we trust." Because if it's that, then it can't be both. Brett Veach has enough ammunition to do good things in the draft per usual. Good teams, this is like a minor league farm system. Good teams use their draft assets to improve their team in a given year. I also think that we never want to admit, because you don't want people thinking in the micro necessarily, they should be more aggressive this year. I'm sorry. They've won 2 Super Bowls in a row. They're 6-0. They've got a Hall of Fame quarterback. They should be more aggressive this year. I told you, if they got to overpay, like you talked about the Cooper Kupp thing, some teams would be stupid for overpaying for Cooper Kupp. This team, I actually don't think would have been stupid for overpaying for Cooper Kupp. This is the kind of team who should overpay.
Yeah,
if you're going to do it, it should be you.
If I woke up today and they gave up a second for Cooper Kupp, I would not be telling you I like the trade. I can promise you.
By everyone's logic, it's practically a third. You know?
Gosh, not that again.
I don't.
Not that again. Not that again.
You know, I
not that again.
You know I don't feel that way.
Well, and see the difference too. So I've of course I know I've been the draft guy. Like Bink and I've been the draft guy. That's compared to Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney. Just if you can get DeAndre Hopkins, what 5th round pick is going to give? I know he might not be all pro DeAndre Hopkins, but he's a 3-time all pro wide receiver. Giving up a 5th round pick for that. It's like a home run. I don't know how it would be seen as giving up too much, even though if he gives them how many games have they played? 7 or 6? If he gives you 500 yards the rest of the season and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's not even.
I don't even know if you can put numbers on it.
What a compliment, by the way, that the only reason people think it's too much is because Brett Veach is too good at drafting 5th rounders. Because other than that, you wouldn't care. If you looked at any other team's 5th rounders, you'd be like, who
right?
cares?
Right.
To your point, though, if they're going for the 3-peat, so not the next year doesn't matter, but they have 2/3.
That's true, Drew. I don't know what they're gonna. I don't know what they're gonna do when they're going for the 4-peat. They're gonna be just as aggressive when they go for the 4-peat next year. They're gonna just continue to make history and extend this thing out, so it's untouchable, so nobody can ever touch them. That is true. No, in all seriousness, I don't know, Drew, if the stats even are a good way to directly
Probably not.
What it is for them, obviously, come playoff time, how does he perform? Number one, but for the time being, crucial catches. Someone Mahomes can trust on third down, red zone targets. Can he get it? Can he help them with their red zone issues because he can have the contested catches? I don't think he's going to. I don't need him having 6 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown every other week. Like that. If you're expecting that, I think you're going to be disappointed anyway. But that's not where we're at with this team right now. They don't. That's not what they're looking for. I mean, they would love it, but that's not what,
right away.
Well, if you think too, okay, so let's say Hollywood comes back for the playoffs. Forget the regular.
Okay.
The wide receiver room would still be better, you could argue, than it was last year if DeAndre Hopkins is good enough.
Healthy D-Hop, healthy Juju, healthy at that time Hollywood Brown.
They had a top 15 wide receiver in the NFL last year in Rashee Rice. He was so good.
I think a lot of it just depends on what.
If you have DeAndre, healthy Hollywood, healthy Xavier Worthy, Pacheco's, I feel like it's. I think it's better collectively. Just
and 2 running backs, you would argue at that point with Kareem Hunt,
and Travis and Noah Gray.
I would argue
everybody would have to be healthy.
A 32-year-old DeAndre Hopkins and a coming off injury Hollywood. There are facts around it. That would make me
a quote unquote fully
that.
healthy or quote unquote healthy guy.
I wouldn't say no. By the way, I did look it up. Brett Veach is great in a lot of rounds. The 5th, that ain't the one. That's why he's willing to trade. This year was Hunter Norzad.
Oh, the jury's still out.
Hold on, I'm just giving you the facts so that nobody claims I missed one. B.J. Thompson.
Okay.
Darian Kennard. He's not even on this team anymore.
He's not. I don't know if he's on any team.
Noah Gray. That was a pretty good 5th rounder.
Got a second contract already.
Cornell Powell.
Practice squad just signed back.
And then, let's see. I don't have a 5th rounder a lot of years. Michael Dana. That's the only other
I'll be honest. I feel
he's
like
the best one of the bunch.
For 5th rounds, that's actually not too bad. That's not a
a decent hit rate.
That's not a bad hit rate. Yeah.
He's the best general manager in the NFL. There was one other thing that Andy Reid said about the wide receivers. It was actually about Hollywood Brown. I want to get to that on the other side. Some promising update, I would say, when it comes to Hollywood Brown's status right now. We'll get to that and talk about the type of wide receiver the Chiefs are getting in DeAndre Hopkins next on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold.
I didn't sleep well. I was drunk.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. 96.5, The Fan.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. Discover the benefit of blue.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
Hey, Chiefs Kingdom, as the official whiskey sponsor of the NFL, it's not a kickoff without the generous spirit of Crown Royal. And that's why we've built the Crown Royal Rig, an absurdly awesome 18-wheeler delivering the generous spirit to stadiums and tailgates across the country. Follow the Royal Rig on its journey from city to city, bringing together local cuisine, NFL legends, and the opportunity to pack a purple bag for charity and win tickets to Super Bowl 59. Visit crownroyal.com for rules and more. Please drink responsibly.
MD Anderson Cancer Center is again ranked #1 in the nation for cancer care by U.S. News & World Report's Best Hospitals rankings. Our physicians treat more types of cancers in a day than many see in their whole career. This unmatched depth of expertise, combined with our groundbreaking discoveries, gives our patients access to the most innovative treatment options. Learn more at mdanderson.org.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get a small Frosty for $1. And literally everyone is going. The car behind you, going to get $1 Frosty. The car ahead of you, already had one, going for a second. The person who cut you off earlier? You guessed it, $1 Frosty. Maybe it's all a sign for you to go get one. Just don't cut anyone off. No one likes that person. The iconic Frosty for $1? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California, and via third-party delivery.
Every business faces challenges, but complicated, expensive, and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them.
With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the noise.
No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures.
It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
Did you know that Wendy's has any size soft drinks for just $1? Yeah, any size, anytime. Like $1 Coke, $1 Sprite, or even $1 strawberry Fanta. Okay, could we maybe switch up the sound effect, please? Because I'm losing it. Wow, no, not that. Any size soft drink for just $1? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. A la carte only. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
Halloween's coming alive at Target. Jackie and Gordy, the Jack-O-Lanterns, here with a front porch view of Target's Halloween deals, like Best House on the Block trick-or-treat candy starting at $5.99.
Sweet. Don't forget, Can't Wait to Wear It costumes from $15.
Can't wait to see it. Oh, and decorating and pumpkin carving kits for $5.
That's how I got my big toothy grin.
This week only, trick-or-treat candy starts at $5.99, costumes from $15, and decorating and pumpkin carving kits for $5. Make your Halloween come alive at Target. Restrictions apply.
Your new Total Wine in Lee's Summit has the largest selection of wines, spirits, and beers. Plus, totally low prices and friendly service from our expertly trained guides. With over 8,000 wines, 4,500 spirits, and 2,500 beers, you're sure to find your favorites and something new. You can even order in-store or curbside pickup. Find what you love what you find. Only at Total Wine and More. Now open in Lee's Summit at Summit Woods Crossing, next to TJ Maxx. Drink responsibly. B21.
Home ownership. At Progressive, we know it's part of the American dream. It's majestic golden eagles and other less majestic birds taunting you through the baseball-sized hole in your new windows. It's soaring guitar solos performed through faulty wiring in your garage, which subsequently erupts into flames. It's also around-the-clock protection when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, which can help keep the American dream of home ownership alive and kicking. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Arvest Bank, believing in the power of serving others.
Arvest Bank believes in the power of serving others. That's why we're committed to supporting those who serve our communities. We believe that all communities deserve a financial partner who cares. Arvest, we believe.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Back here on Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. 913-586-7965, the Jays Southland Tow Service text line. Text from the 913. On our way to the airport, fellas. See ya out there. Some listeners meeting us in Vegas.
They're beating us to the airport.
Good for them. You know what?
We got to wait till 2 o'clock.
Good for them. Yeah, we fly out after the show. We do hope to see a lot of you out in Vegas. Chiefs-Raiders weekend. We also have our happy hour event on Friday night. If you're going to be out there even earlier, Thursday and Friday, if you just go to Stadium Swim at Circa, the giant outdoor pool club that they got, 143-foot screen, we'll be broadcasting from one of the cabanas out there. And then Friday night at Circa, happy hour. If you RSVP, you get a free cocktail. You get registered to win tickets to the game. You get registered to win a day bed at Stadium Swim. Just text in 913-586-7965. We'll send you an RSVP link. So I know a lot of you are going out to Arrowhead West to watch the Chiefs. So why not join us Friday night if you're making the trip out there? So we hope to see you guys. It's going to be a good time.
Going to be great. Like you said, you want the link? Let us know. We're going to have fun out there the entire weekend. I already know like a group of mine. They're like, hey, we're not going to be there Friday. We're going to be at Stadium Swim on Saturday. You still going to be around? I'm like, for at least part
full
of the day.
college football slate on Saturday. Yeah, full college football slate on Saturday.
5 ranked on ranked matchups this weekend, too.
It's a big day.
Plus the Sunflower Showdown.
And college football Saturday. Also, the Golden Knights are playing. So we've got some things planned over the next couple of days in addition to our show. It's going to be a good time to be out in Vegas. Still going to be 88 degrees out there. So plenty warm for the pool. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'd say so. By the way, an update on the tooth situation. So I'd asked you yesterday, hey, what's the going rate for a tooth? And we all kind of went back and forth on that number. Last night, getting ready, like tucking, like laying my daughter down, all that. And she's like, her pillow, she's like, see, like my pillows are all thrown because I was looking for the I was like, oh, yeah, great. She said, hey, can I ask you something? I said, yeah, sure. I said, tooth fairy real?
I know nothing.
Is that what you said?
That's what
She said,
Did you say that?
The tooth fairy real? And I was like, huh? I was like, well, this is early. First tooth, and we're already negating the presents? I said, well, why are you asking? And she said, my friend Eliza said her mom just gave her the money.
Eliza, you're screwing this up for all the kids.
She said, my friend Eliza said her mom just gave her the money. I thought maybe you just gave me the money.
What'd you say?
She said, is the tooth fairy real? She follows up. I said, well, what do you think? She's like, it was you. I mean, she looked me dead in the eye and said, it was you. And I was like, I was like, yeah, it was me. What do you want me to say?
So it's over already. It's already
Tooth
ruined.
fairy's dead in the Tap household.
But did you tell her, hey, you can't tell your brother Desmond?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Made a very clear point that we're not breaking the news for him yet, but she's already out. We got through a single tooth exchange that I snuck in under the pillow, did the whole thing, and she's already calling BS. Wow. So she's out.
Was it you that said either Ruby or Desmond asked if Santa
Ruby
was
did.
real?
Man,
I was going to say.
She's already onto the tooth fairy. Well, in that one, I ducked the conversation. I was like, I'm going to hold off on this one.
I think you have to dodge it.
She seemed more in belief of Santa than the tooth fairy one. Like, she seemed like she was looking for some confirmation on that one. But the tooth fairy one, her friend Eliza's like, that ain't the gig. Like,
jeez,
just outed it immediately. So
crushing dreams.
You just better hope she doesn't tell Desmond.
Someone says no more money for teeth. Then I mean,
yeah, that's what I wonder. Like, the rate went down. Sorry, part of the whole thing is
tooth fairy was paid. It was like the whole thing. Oh look, we got through. We got through one tooth, singular.
Not as fun for you anymore either.
No. Now I just she loses a tooth and I just hand her over some cash.
A few bucks.
Here you go. Again, maybe it looks a little bit different.
Someone said a kid ruined Santa for them when they were 8 on the school bus. They cried a lot.
It's always worse when somebody else ruins it for you. It just.
I have older siblings. I knew pretty early on, but sometimes you figure it out. Adam Schefter 2 minutes ago sent out the official trade terms if we were looking for exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Titans get a 2025 fifth-round pick that becomes a fourth if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl and Hopkins plays at least 60% of the snaps for the team. And the Chiefs get DeAndre Hopkins. Titans a little less than half of Hopkins' remaining $8 million salary this season. So about $4 million for the Chiefs, 60% of the snaps, and a Super Bowl appearance is what will take for that fifth rounder to become a fourth.
About right, what we thought from earlier today. So. And if you believe in flight tracking and the private jet stuff that people have been floating out, that flight has not taken off from Nashville to Kansas City yet. So, again, he's supposed to be here this afternoon if all goes well.
Someone, the text line said from the 913, got our daughter a Chromebook 1 year, second grade. First thing she Googled was, is Santa
No way.
Damn.
Couldn't she just Google that at school?
I don't know.
Why? You know what I mean?
Well, they don't just give you, Google access on school iPads.
Okay.
You can't just you can look up
I
some
understand
things.
There's some restrictions. I thought you could Google Santa. I thought you could Google Santa. I understand there's going to be some restrictions on a school iPad.
What happens when you Google that? Does it just straight up say, or does it make you click through some stuff?
Why don't you let me know? Is there a whole article, an official document explaining it?
No. First thing, AI overview. Thanks Google for that. Not a real person.
Thanks AI.
Just immediately. So, and then the second thing is he's real in the sense that he was an actual person. Does that count?
Yes.
Based after a real person. So in a way.
Okay.
Yes. My wife, by the way, she told me that she had asked earlier today about the tooth fairy, And she covered a little bit. She's like, well, I've never seen her. It's like, well, that's not true. That's true, right? She's never seen her. And she's like, did you put money under my pillow? She's like, I did not put money under your pillow, which was also true at the time because it was me. But I just gave up. No more tooth fairy.
Coming up in 15 minutes, actually 10 minutes or so, we'll get to the random question of the day. I wanted to talk about another wide receiver, though. I know we're obviously keying in on DeAndre Hopkins. We'll get right back into him and the impact he could have for this season and what does that look like, et cetera. But Andy Reid was also asked about Hollywood Brown and where things are at based off of the reporting earlier today from James Palmer, who said that he's hearing that, Hollywood Brown could be back by the playoffs. Andy Reid was asked, said, quote, he's ahead of schedule, Brown is, attack and rehab. Obviously did not commit to a timeline. We heard that. He said he didn't have an idea yet, but said, he's obviously a relentless worker, and he's been in the facility. In fact, today, Rice and Hollywood Brown were both at the facility today, continuing their rehab, and that's something that hasn't been the case here recently. So they're heading in the right direction. We know Rice is for sure done. Hollywood Brown, though, there's definitely hope that come playoff time, he's available, and that would be fascinating to see if suddenly a guy we truly hadn't seen play at all, but was going to be a big part of the offense, would join an offense with DeAndre Hopkins and presumably Xavier Worthy being better at that point of the season as well.
I guess there's two flip sides of the coin, because part of me is like, okay, let's say he makes it back by week 1 of the postseason. I'm like, how effective can he be?
Cody, Sky Moore was getting snaps. You know what I mean?
That's the second part of this. Because my initial thought is like, I don't know, man, how effective can he be? But then I asked myself, is 70% of what Hollywood Brown has traditionally been in his NFL career better than some of the back-end wide receiver options on this roster? Yeah. Yeah. Of course. It adds another depth of deep passing. It's not you need it on every route, but it does add the additional threat of it. You can send more than one player down the field, and you can continue to threaten that. I honestly think I'm going to chalk that up to just like, sounds cool if you get it, but I think you still have to operate as if Hollywood Brown's not a member of this team. Is that a bad way? I know he's saying he may be ahead of schedule and that things are looking good, but you and I both know the way the medical works on this. That's what they were saying about Hollywood Brown
I know all about
time.
the medical.
That's what they were saying the last time. Up until the season, they said, healing great, on time, on track, looks square. They get one X-ray, and it's all she wrote. One X-ray in the next 2 months that looks slightly funny, and no more Hollywood Brown. And so, I'm just not going to count on it until we get way, 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 way closer.
Yeah, you got to look at it as a luxury if you get him back. But it's promising that it seems like there's a legitimate chance he's back versus the weird pipe dream stuff for a week with Rice that was out there.
I don't even know.
And that kind of stuff.
Amazing. Ayuk tore his ACL and knew immediately and was just like, they just knew.
Yeah, but again, different injury, right? Different injury. That was what's complicated.
At the time, though, yeah.
Complicated the Rashee Rice thing.
They thought it was one thing and it was the other. I'm just, it's always just funny to me the way Chiefs always seem to have some sort of weird, different energy with their injuries.
Because
I know nothing.
That's what happens sometimes, man.
Put that on a T-shirt, man.
I know nothing.
I'll be honest. It's like an all-time drop for us. We're gonna have now in the system for all the shows.
As soon as he said that, I was like, we're saving this.
I know nothing.
So I should have said about the tooth fairy stuff.
That's what I said.
What are you talking about? Weird. Money showed up there, right? Probably. I don't know. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to know?
I'm not suggesting you lie to your kid, but you said you lie to your kids all the time as part of being a father.
I do think part of parenthood is lying to your children. I do think that's true.
Just not on the tooth fairy, huh?
It just didn't feel like this was a necessary one, right? What am I furthering here?
We'll get to the
Someone
random.
said we needed to say spoiler alert on the show.
We have a bunch of children listening. And our kids out of school today or something?
I don't know, but what if someone had their 3-year-old in the car?
You can explain it away.
I think it's too
Those
late.
idiots don't know what they're talking about.
There's no going back.
Call someone else's kid an idiot?
No. The kid listening, tell your kid. No.
Those idiots don't know what they're doing. They'll never figure out the rules.
You said they're listening in the car. I go, they can explain that away. They can say, those idiots don't know what they're talking about.
Okay,
no, not the kid.
I thought you were trying to call someone else's kid an idiot.
Not the kid.
Wow, man. Wow.
Not the kid.
Strong stance today, Alex. Noted.
I think most people picked up what I was saying. I hope.
Yes. Does this style? So, Andy Reid got asked about this, and so did Patrick Mahomes. Said, "Hey, are you willing to throw those contested throws?" Part of me thinks that they aren't. Like, I know that sounds stupid, but the entire Kansas City Chiefs offense for the last 5 years has been predicated on one thing: being open. They get wide receivers more open than any team in the NFL over that time. They like space. They like to work in space. They like to create space with motion. They like to do all those things that has people operating away from defenders. I'm not trying to. Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback on the planet. He's one of the single greatest quarterbacks of all time. I don't really feel like that throw's ever been in his bag, or it's been a club he shelved the entire time. How many times have you seen Patrick Mahomes throw a back shoulder sideline throw? Like 5? In like 6 years he's been the starter?
I think last year to Kelsey in the playoffs or the Super Bowl, there was the one. That one stands out because it's a rarity. I think some of it is just the personnel. Not every wide receiver is also capable of doing that, let alone a quarterback. But think about wide receiver. I mean, Travis Kelsey has done it. Tyreek Hill, as we discussed earlier, in terms of being able to track the football, was about as good as they've had in this current era when he was with this team. He was so good at doing that. But that, given his size, he wasn't catching a ton of back shoulder passes. So I just think some of it is a personnel thing.
I think some of it. I think it's more scheme than personnel. And in fairness, they haven't really had a type of receiver like DeAndre Hopkins very often.
You scheme to your person. You get personnel to fit your scheme, but you also scheme to your personnel.
So this is a chicken or egg situation is essentially the argument we're getting into, which is fair. I'm not saying that's wrong. But like when you look at it, when's the last time they had a receiver that operates the way DeAndre Hopkins has operated a good majority of his career? I would say the most close in style is Juju. I mean, he was here.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sammy Watkins had some elements of that. I mean, you could argue Rashee Rice is developing into that. He's obviously hurt now, but those would be the two that come to mind immediately.
So it's not like it's never been anywhere close. I think D-Rob kind of played over the sticks, in the middle, edge, that kind of stuff a little bit. So I don't think that's outside of his style of play. Like, I'm not saying he's as good as DeAndre Hopkins. I'm just saying style of play-wise, 5 years, 6 years ago, doesn't seem out of the question. I just don't feel like that's a throw they make. I don't know if it's because they deem it low percentage or a million other reasons why. I think they would just rather operate in space. I think you'll see DeAndre Hopkins make like a catch like that. The place I want to see it is not the 20-20 anyway. I don't care about that. The place I want to see it is the red zone.
Of course.
I want you to throw a contested ball in which DeAndre Hopkins' job is to win one-on-one against a corner and catch a ball, or it goes to the ground because you're giving him a shot. That, for a team that is 26th in red zone touchdown percentage right now in the NFL, that is where I want DeAndre Hopkins and the contested catch stuff and everything we haven't seen out of this offense prevail.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, that would be a huge boost to them. I think a lot of this, and we talk about the scheme of it, so much, Andy being the genius play caller and designer that he is, so much of, whether it's in the Super Bowl and they're running corn dog and they just flat out scheme McCole Hardman wide open to make the catch in overtime, right? Like, a lot of what they do is we're gonna come up with a design and cause a mismatch, confusion, that we're just gonna spring a guy wide open. And so some of Andy Reid being so good is why they don't have the contested catch opportunity, because so much of what they're trying to do is all about, can they spring somebody open? And it usually does work. And
it's great.
So I think that's a lot of it. Like you want to have a guy that can win a one-on-one and go up and grab the football, and hopefully Hopkins can provide that. But so much of what they try to do in the red zone, and I guess anywhere on the field, is we're going to have a play design. We're going to either, we're going to cause a formation that's going to confuse you. We're going to create a mismatch that allows us to just have McCole Hardman wide open in the flat, or Travis Kelsey wide open 15 yards down the field. So many times that's what we see more than the contested catches, and a lot of that is just strictly play design.
I was going to say, I don't know if it's almost too simple for their offense, but to get down to the red zone and be like, you know what? I'm not going to create anything. We're going to have DeAndre Hopkins one-on-one on the far side of the field. He's going to do his thing. And Patrick, I need you to dot the pylon and throw it about shoulder high and let him go get it. It's simple as that. Like, I'm not springing anybody open. DeAndre, you're by yourself. Run the route. Patrick, throw the ball back shoulder like Aaron Rodgers has to Devontae Adams a million times. And it's not. You don't have to scheme anything in a way. You just say, just go get open and throw the ball.
I'd like to see him try it. But again, I'm more concerned about it.
It's simple for the way that Andy runs his stuff.
But Gold's right. We've both mentioned it now, and this is why. Andy is better at getting people open. Why the hell would I throw to a contested guy who has to turn around and make a back shoulder catch if some other dude is just 5 yards away from a defender? There's not like this immediate need to do it. That's always going back to does this style of wide receiver honestly fit what they're doing. I think that's why I always assume they'd go after someone like Deontay Johnson or like, I'm always just thinking they're just, you mentioned Tutu Atwell. I always just assume when it's like, all right, draft time. Andy Reid's looking at wide receivers. Who are they going to get? I was like, I don't know. Is there like a 5'10" dude who runs a 4.4? Because him probably, like someone who can also run an end around or a jet sweep or like a run downfield open on a deep cross. Like they don't tend to go after the guy that just like eats up targets, takes contested catches, and does that thing. I just think they needed a guy who could take targets, get first downs, and that's what Hopkins is.
I don't want it to sound like a shot against Andy, but I feel like the spread the field out and get guys open, it's so condensed in the red zone where guys really don't get 5 yards. I mean, it's a rare thing for guys to get 5 yards of space open. They do such a good job of moving the football, and that's come up multiple times on the show, where they get down to the red zone, you're condensed to that 10, 15, 20 yards, whatever it is. It's more difficult to have that open space, creativity, where sometimes you just need that guy like a DeAndre Hopkins or you need whoever it is, throw the ball up, let him go get a contested ball because it might just be easier to trust the guy that is capable of making those plays and the quarterback who is arguably the greatest of all time to be able to make that play because the creativeness, at least to this point, it's got him 25th in the red zone percentage. And that's not just Andy, it's not just a scheme or whatever, but it might have some of a part of a role to play with it, I feel like.
All right, let's get to it here in the noon hour.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, Drew. Text line 913-586-7965. Please like, subscribe, follow over on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. We live stream the show on YouTube at The Fan 965. Be one of the tens of hundreds of people, whatever, watching over there now on YouTube as we ask these questions every single day. Question I have for you today is about our flight. You and I leave for a flight this afternoon. We head to Las Vegas. About 2 months ago, and Drew, you can answer for just any flight. About 2 months ago, there was a trend on social media. I think it was more on TikTok than like the others. But there was a trend on social media about people calling, and they called it this, so I want to make that very clear.
Oh, boy, here we go.
There was a trend on social media of raw dogging flights.
Okay.
As in, you got on the flight, no book, no headphones, no in-flight entertainment. You just sit there, staring straight ahead, looking at nothing for the whole flight. So the question I have for you, how much money would someone have to pay you to get on a plane today, 2.5 hours? What's the dollar amount for you to raw dog the flight? You just, nothing. No snack, you just stare straight ahead.
I've raw dogged before. The flight.
Flight?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
You didn't even watch you didn't watch like a movie on the screen?
I've done that before.
What's wrong with
Not
you?
recently. Now I'll put in the AirPods.
Did you sleep? No, put on the AirPods. We're not talking about that.
No, I'm saying now. Today.
Like, no music. Man.
You just close your eyes. You kind of, you've been on a plane. You've done that where it's like you're not out. It's like 20 minutes and you like wake back up kind of thing. I've done that before, but no. Ever since I got AirPods, now it's easy. Like today, I downloaded a few things. I might watch a movie. I don't know what I'm going to do during the flight.
You're not going to just
have a drink or
sit there.
two. I don't know.
Like it's they would have to pay me $1,000.
Oh, stop!
I'm not dude. I'll go to dark places if I'm just stuck in silence on that airplane, staring straight forward for 3 hours. I'll go nuts. I'll go crazy. I can't do that. I'd rather just have the entertainment.
You can't even look outside.
$1,000. In this case,
I look out the window?
The trend was not that. It was just like you were looking at like the in-flight tracker, essentially. Just watching that plane slowly go across the way. How much would it cost you, Drew? You just do it? So you're just saying free.
No,
You don't care.
no.
You just live his life.
I've done that before.
That's crazy. Why?
I think the amount of money is a lot lower. The amount of money is a lot lower if I'm able to look out the window. If I have to look straight, if I have to look straight at the little pamphlet that they give you.
So have you ever raw dogged? While flying.
The flight.
On the flight.
I have, not on a flight, but yes, I've never done it on a flight.
I can't even imagine.
I couldn't imagine that either.
I understand. I like the noise or whatever. Like I need some sort of distraction. I can't sit there. I've watched you do it for part of a flight, but you also napped for a little bit. I don't think that qualifies in this.
Because you're not allowed to fall asleep.
No, you got to stay awake as part of this question. You can't just sleep your way through it. Lots of people do that on a flight.
Excellent.
But it's wild to me that people could do that. Great. I need maximum entertainment. It's not like a fun place to be. I don't want to just sit there with my thoughts.
You can't sit still.
No.
I've raw dog before.
No.
Thank you, Drew, for saving that. Someone says, Cody alone with his thoughts for 3 hours and he turns into Ted Bundy.
It's not that bad, but it's not good. Like, who just sits there for 3 hours and then just starts thinking about all the great things in their life? That's how people operate?
You're saying...
Well, good for you, I guess. You must not need therapy like the rest of us.
You're saying you would feel like you almost need... To do it for free, you would almost need to be like a psychopath, essentially.
Yes.
To do it.
I think you should... To be willing to do that for free, like, even just for, like, the clout, right? The social media clout. What's wrong with you? Why would you do this to yourself?
I think you would have to pay me $200 beyond the flight itself. If my flight was free and you gave me an extra $200, I'll do it.
Do it today, man.
No, I have
Do it today.
I have AirPods ready to go. We also have
How much money are you paying?
We also have a connecting flight, so it's going to be even longer of a flight because we got to land and then change planes.
Not stopping the way back.
Yeah, it is,
Out of curiosity, where are you guys? Is it Denver?
Phoenix. It's a quick layover in Phoenix. Very quick. We'll be landing in Vegas by 7.
Yeah. 7 Vegas time, right?
Yeah.
It's not long. It won't be bad. Someone said, you ever watch Paint Right? No. No. Like, I can't just, I don't know.
I feel like watching paint dry would be worse.
This person claims they don't own a television.
You just listen to 96.5 The Fan. Listen to the radio. I like it.
Those waves. Those radio waves.
Top text. Is this true, Cody?
I don't know anything about that. I'm very polite on airplanes.
So says you're the guy that would fart in an airplane, Cody, and make everyone else suffer.
This person's...
You wouldn't get up to go to the bathroom.
This is the same person who is also claiming it's $100 a tooth. Nobody believes that. Nobody believes it's $100 per tooth to the tooth fairy, okay?
It's different for everybody, you know?
What am I...
Raw dog.
Jeff Bezos, $100 a tooth?
That?
Do you know how rich you'd have to be to give $100 per tooth? That's $2,500. There's just no chance.
I have Carrington ask Patrick Mahomes' next interview next week. He's got kids. I'm assuming probably about the age now, or maybe starting to lose teeth. If I find out what the going tooth fairy rate is in the Mahomes household.
Someone said I would beatbox the entire flight. That would be.
That would be worse.
Hold on. Cody, what would be worse? Me beatboxing next to you the entire flight, which I would never do. I couldn't do it, or raw dogging a flight and just staring straight at.
I'd be concerned about you being a psychopath if the other way. But like, I mean, if I get headphones. Whatever, beatbox your heart out. I don't care. But if it's just like we're both going to be in silence, I'll just have to. I can't take beatboxing for 3 hours.
That would be miserable for everybody, including myself.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Well, I'm glad you brought that to the table today on Random Question of the Day.
It did get us a drop. That was nice.
Yep. Yes, it did. All right. Up next, we'll talk more about DeAndre Hopkins and where the receiving market is right now. It's kind of weird, I think, how things have started way ahead of the deadline. I'll explain that next here on Cody and Gold.
This is Cody and Gold on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Was in a drive-through yesterday, driving through, and what do I see right ahead of me? A silver Volkswagen Tiguan from Volkswagen Lee Summit. Look, I'm not the only one. That's because they have an awesome selection at Volkswagen Lee Summit. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to go out of town. We just talked about it, right? Heading to Vegas. I'm dropping the car off at the in-laws. They're going to take care of our kids while we're gone. I'm going to make sure that they got a ride that they can take care of. They have my car for the weekend while my wife and I are out of town, and that's because I love the new ride. Look, they're going to be looking for new cars soon. They made that pretty clear. I'm going to tell them Volkswagen Lee Summit is the place they need to go. There, you can choose from 3 incredible promotions. No payments for up to 90 days on any new car, or you could do the 0% APR for 60 months like me, or at Volkswagen Lee Summit, double your down payment, $3,000 becomes $6,000. So, the 0 payments for the rest of 24 doesn't sound all that bad, or just no interest for up to 60 months. Look, Volkswagen Lee Summit, like I said, has a huge selection all of your favorite new cars, Atlas, Atlas Crossport, Tiguan like me, the Taos, the Jetta, plus all a great used car selection in all makes and models. Just pick your deal, pick your promotion, pick a car, and go to VWLeeSummit.com.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at bluekc.com.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are open now for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of Kansas City. A winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of Kansas City. Enter now at overheaddoorkc.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorkc.com.
We hear a lot from our patients after we've successfully treated their erectile dysfunction. But one thing we hear the most is, why didn't I get treated sooner? This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. And if you're suffering with ED and all the emotional and relationship problems it causes, don't wait. Call us today. ED is simply a medical condition like any other. And for most men, it's fully treatable, which means you can get your sex life back. And I'm not talking about sex that's just okay, by the way. I'm talking about good sex with the ability to enjoy intimacy without the anxiety that affects so many men who have ED. In fact, you might find you're performing like you haven't in years. At Heartland Men's Health, we're ED experts. We've successfully treated thousands of men with protocols that are successful in well over 90% of cases. And we have a variety of treatments and treatment combinations so you can get the one that's right for you. So stop waiting and call us. Your first visit includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
Hi, it's Derek Johnson, and I know there's nothing better than being part of a team. A group of great people you can count on and learn from. The Sheet Metalworkers, local number 2, are growing their team and looking for quality men and women who want to build Kansas City's future. While you're making KC a better place, you'll also get great pay and benefits while gaining lifelong skills. Explore the possibilities at sheetmetal2.org. That's sheetmetal2.org. And take a step towards a fulfilling and rewarding way of life.
What does it mean to be the official information technology provider for the Chiefs? It means everything. Technology Group Solutions makes sure everything runs flawlessly for the millions of fans that attend games and the hundreds of millions of fans that comprise Chiefs Kingdom around the world. Technology Group Solutions can deploy that same dedication, problem solving, and incredible service to ensure your business runs smoothly. Technology Group Solutions, powering Chiefs Kingdom, and ready to do the same for you.
In business, success is never by chance. You know that better than anyone. So why settle for a marketing agency that gambles with your money? At Scale Marketing, we've been in your shoes. Our founders successfully owned and operated businesses long before becoming marketers. They understand the business of, well, business. We specialize in performance marketing for mid-sized B2C companies with teams of over 100 people. From traditional and digital marketing to media buying, data science, and creative production, Scale Marketing manages it all. Our tailored strategies drive measurable growth, turning your challenges into opportunities. Imagine your company leading the market, not just participating in it. That's what we do at Scale Marketing. Don't let your business growth plateau or underperform. Scale Marketing will pinpoint exactly what you need to focus on, ensuring your success isn't left to chance. Take your business to the next level with Scale Marketing. Visit scalemarketing.com today. That's scalemarketing.com.
It's Wrangler season out there. Warmer days, cooler nights. Open roads, endless horizons. And you need to be ready in jeans made for the unpredictable. Wrangler, for the ride of life. Shop our newest styles today at Wrangler.com.
Whether you're tinkering in your garage
or tackling big projects, if you know the value of working with your hands, you know Harbor Freight. And you can be confident knowing that at Harbor Freight, you can get quality tools at prices that work just as hard as you do. Because the only thing more satisfying than a job well done is a job well done, well under budget. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
It's Wrangler season out there. Warmer days, cooler nights. Open roads, endless horizons. And you need to be ready in jeans made for the unpredictable. Wrangler, for the ride of life. Shop our newest styles today at Wrangler.com.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. Discover the benefit of blue.
You're listening to the all-new 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports. KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
1 o'clock hour here on a Wednesday. Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. If you missed our conversation with Ross Tucker, our Odyssey NFL Insider, a little bit earlier in the show, we'll bring that back for you at 1:30. We obviously asked him about the DeAndre Hopkins trade, but also just where things are at in the AFC, in particular with Baltimore, how great Lamar is playing. But does he think that it still is the simple, hey, show it to me in January, prove it to me in January for Baltimore and for some of these other teams? That was part of our conversation with Ross Tucker. So that's coming up a little after 1:30 and what's trending. One more time, just a reminder, if you're heading out to Las Vegas, we're broadcasting live there starting tomorrow, Thursday and Friday from Stadium Swim at Circa Las Vegas, circalasvegas.com. Friday night, we got a party at the Overhang Bar there, drink specials, chance to win a pair of tickets to the game. Come watch the games over the weekend at Stadium Swim. It is the world's largest sports book. If you want an RSVP link to our party on Friday night, which gets you the free drink at minimum there, plus enter to win, just text us, 913-586-7965. Back to the trade stuff, and obviously DeAndre Hopkins becoming a Chief today. So he's the third wide receiver that's been traded already. And I know we were kind of excited when the trade deadline got pushed back a week. That was something they changed in the offseason.
I feel like it could open some things up.
I thought they should have pushed it back a few more weeks because more teams know for sure they're out, more willing to make a move. The salaries are prorated even more, of course, the further you get into a season. So I thought that was going to prompt there to be a real trade deadline. What's been weird to me is these trades are happening before what would have been the old trade deadline. Now, is it just injuries? Injuries just causing all this? Maybe so. But you mentioned earlier it's not just wide receivers getting traded. There was the Titans just did another trade
for a linebacker.
With Seattle. What do you make of this? Because I like them pushing it back. Are we going to see trades up against the deadline, or are we just seeing everything happen earlier and this is an outlier season? Because the deadline getting moved back has nothing to do with the trades we're having now. It's happening. These trades were happening before the old deadline.
Yeah, I think that when we look at it, there's just no way to be like, well, it's because of this, right? That must be the reason why. Well, it can't be necessarily because we're still early enough in the process that it can't be, it's the later trade deadline. I'm assuming it's injury-based, but I also think that there's probably more coming. Because at this point, at some point, these teams are going to have to start realizing that in order to keep their job, trading to try to stay alive doesn't do you any good. Like, technically, the Jets should trade. They're not going to.
They've done the opposite.
They're in a rare circumstance. They're actually making moves for players. They instead should take the players that they don't think will be good by the time they get there. I'm assuming that the earliness of the trades has to come from desperation, doesn't it? Devontae Adams, Jets were desperate. This move for the Chiefs, they were desperate. DeAndre Hopkins, they needed another wide receiver. They were not going to have a choice in where they were. The Amari Cooper trade, that's not born in desperation. Bills could have waited a little bit, but I think that they were just looking around the building, I don't know, maybe. And I might as well just speak to, there are like 4 or 5 teams this year that are awful and know that they have to, they are terrible, and everybody knows it.
I think it's more the injuries than the last part, though. The teams being out of the mix, this happens every year. In of October, we start to think, realistically, there's a ton of teams that are truly out of the mix, whether they know it or not, or believe it or not, I should say. So I don't think it's that. I think it has to be the injuries. Desperation / injuries, as you said. Like, the unique circumstance with the Jets, the Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams connection prompted that to happen. The Chiefs need receiver help, but then the Juju Smith-Schuster injury, I think, is what really moved them across the finish line for D-Hop. Amari Cooper, I don't know on the timing of that. Were they worried the Chiefs were interested? Were they worried about another team? The Bucs having injuries on Monday night, did that prompt also the Chiefs to make a wide receiver move, worrying that the Bucs were also going to be interested? If the Lions trade for a pass rusher, that's because of an injury in Aiden Hutchinson. So I think we have to seen a rash of injuries prompting some of these moves. I'm just more curious when we get to the actual deadline. Is it just dead? Like, we just don't have anything?
I don't think so. I think it'll be both. I think in years in which there are more teams vying for this thing, they do this. The other part is, like, it's franchise desperation, too. The Bills are a desperate franchise, man. So are the Jets. When's the last time the Jets' last one in the Super Bowl was like Joe Namath? Bills never. Chiefs are going for a three-peat. Look at the teams who are making the trades, man. There's a reason why, as a franchise, they feel the heat right now. Look, I don't believe the Bucs either. Todd Bowles came out today and said, we like the wide receivers we have in-house. We don't have to trade for another wide receiver in order to make it work. Now, at least they know they'll eventually get Mike Evans back, even if the reporting is suggesting it'll be after week 11. They know their guy's coming back. The Chiefs can't even be sure Hollywood Brown's coming back. The Bills wide receiver unit was the unit. They didn't have somebody else, some, knight in shining armor coming to save the group. These teams know where they stand and the desperation, which it is. I think it'll probably be a normal trade deadline. Now, I'll say they had to move it back some. You can't add an additional week into the regular season and then force teams to make a decision in week 6 of their NFL season. I'm with you. It's still way too early. Also, why do we have trade deadlines at all? No offense, but why isn't it up till the end of the regular season? Why shouldn't teams be able to make themselves better up till the bitter damn end? What do we care in baseball that they wrap this thing up by the middle of July? Why can't people make a trade in September if they think their team still deserving to get better? If a team who thought they were in the playoffs now find themselves on the outside looking in, why not let people make movement up until the end of these things? Now, some of it is because they want the trade deadline to force some earlier action. If you push the deadline back, you know this. If you push the baseball trade deadline back to September 1st, well, nobody's making any move in July. They're going to keep waiting and waiting and waiting. And the price tag of the player you pick up in September is less, but then we'd get more movement, more fun. Or would it push teams back to do it because they're like, well, we can't get DeAndre Hopkins up to speed? I like it. I like the more movement. I like the trade for the Chiefs.
Oh, it's
all the
great.
way back to the Hopkins thing. I mean, they had to. Go on Monday. Was it Monday? Tuesday in the show? We had Nate on. I was kind of hoping to wake up this morning and see they had made a trade. I was wondering what the hell was taking so long. And it was Tuesday. They got it done today. But it was
late last night,
Tuesday,
early in the
I was
morning.
where is this thing? They got to make something happen.
I'm trying to picture, they said at 5 a.m. Was it one of those where they were talking late and then everybody go take a nap at 2 a.m. and wake back up at 5? Or were they on and off the phone the entire night to make this thing? Because all the reports are 9 o'clock last night they were talking late, midnight, and then 5 a.m. or so is when this truly kind of came together. And then it really got finalized at noon today.
Is it different in sports? I'm asking, is it different in sports for an obvious reason? Is it different in sports because the whole, man, you making text at 1 a.m., that ain't good decision making. You should not be texting. Gold, anybody you're texting at 1 a.m. to be like, hey, can a deal be made here? That ain't the kind of text you need to be sending. That is dangerous territory. Are should you sleep on it?
You're on a timeline. If you're the Chiefs, you got a game on Sunday. You're on a timeline. You know that if you wait till the next day to work on this trade, Hopkins doesn't get here until Thursday, then there's no way he's playing for you Sunday. They had to get this thing done last night to make sure D-Hop can get here this afternoon to give him a shot to play on Sunday.
I just wonder, at 5 a.m., I don't know how early these coaches and whoever make it to the facility, but you're there late at night and then you're back at 5, and it gives me they were at the facility, slept at the facility.
It happens all the time. Happens all the time.
I think that was 100% what happened. It was overnight, I'm taking a nap, and then we're going to talk about this thing. We're going to discuss it through.
NFL coaches are the antithesis of work smarter, not harder. Hey, you could just work smarter.
This is one of those overnighters.
You know what? No, but you don't have to.
Yeah, that's not he's saying.
It's unnecessary. Football coaches would make you believe that if you did not work 19 hours a day, this job would never get done. And you're like, it probably would. Like, how many of those hours did you like re-engineer, re-diagnose the same thing? You know, work smarter sometimes. Every once in a while, be it. But in this case, you're right. They had to make a trade, and they had to make it late. D-Hop is the third guy traded. They were forced into this position where they had to make a decision on this, but they also had to make this kind of decision because of where they were and where this thing was going to land. They knew they were going to have to do it. The compensation made sense. Everything made sense. It just fit.
Yeah.
And then, like, going back to the Hollywood thing and what he had said there, we don't know if he's ever going to come back this year. If you missed it earlier, Andy Reid was asked about Hollywood Brown. He had said, well, he's on schedule or maybe even a little ahead of schedule from where he was. And, yeah, I think he'll have an impact. I'm more curious about whether or not Amenihu or Pacheco will have a massive impact, I'll be honest, than those two right now, aren't you? You think it's Amenihu? I think it's probably Amenihu, but I'd listen to Pacheco. They need everything they can get, but they're a defensive team. We've said this. They don't need DeAndre Hopkins to win. They were winning games with nobody at wide receiver. They're winning games with Juju Smith-Schuster. They'll win games with DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, I have no doubt. The expectations for him are going to be probably overblown because, as Ross Tucker told us, and you'll hear our conversation in 15 minutes, because of fantasy football and everything, if DeAndre Hopkins doesn't get you 18 fantasy points on Sunday, you'll say he stinks. That's just the world.
18 fantasy points? Damn.
But that's where we're at with this stuff. Whereas, like, in reality, they just need someone they can rely on in third downs and the occasional red zone target, whether it's in the end zone or at least to move the sticks to make it first and goal at the 3 or whatever, right? Contested catches. That's what they don't need him to go out there and look like DeAndre Hopkins from 2021. He's not going to, okay? But they don't need that. But for one game or occasionally or a big moment in the playoffs, that's what I'm thinking, Cody. It's a big game. It's the AFC title game against Baltimore, let's say, and it's a third down then, even though DeAndre Hopkins only has like 30 yards receiving to that point, but he comes up with the big 15-yard reception on a third and 14 with a $1:30 to go, and the Chiefs are driving to get in Butker field goal range to win it again. Like, I can very much see that being something that happens, and D-Hop being that guy for them, coming up with big-time catches.
Does anyone else feel like this conversation sounds oddly similar to what we were talking about they needed the Chiefs to have Juju Smith-Schuster do? And then he immediately went for like 1 million catches and 140 yards.
He's going to run the same routes, Cody. D-Hop is going to run a lot of the same routes.
Are you sure that D-Hop might not finish with 18 fantasy points this weekend or next weekend? I think he's having a 100-yard game sometime in the next 3 weeks.
Oh, maybe so. I'm just saying, like, people unfairly now judge it. If you didn't get, I just threw out 18. If you didn't get 18 points as a receiver, like, oh, you just suck. And it's just like, that's we live in the fantasy football world now where everybody just judges who's the best receiver in the league based on how many fantasy points they got you. Like, and there's more to the story. Now, look, Justin Jefferson's, to me, is the best receiver in football. I'm guessing Jamar Chase has more fantasy points than him. I actually think Justin Jefferson's the best receiver in football. But that's my point, is like, there's just more conversation. We can agree to disagree on that. But just so much is now predicated on that. It's the box score thing we mentioned with Mahomes on Monday, that if you watch the game, you know that Patrick Mahomes came up with the winning plays when it mattered, even though statistically he had 2 picks and didn't even throw for 200 yards. Right?
They don't even really need DeAndre Hopkins to beat the Raiders. I mean,
well, no. I would like to see him have
on that roster?
A package of plays, though, on Sunday in Vegas. That would be nice, just to get him acclimated a little bit. A set grouping of plays, whether it's early on in the game or not.
Can he have, like, the wristband like the quarterback, or is that limited to the quarterback? Can they not look at, like, a little cheat sheet of what the play means? I'm always curious when these players get traded and then they're forced into, like, figuring out exactly how the team operates. I'll just say, you had said coming into work you had a little extra pep in your step.
Yeah, we were going to Vegas, and they just traded for DeAndre Hopkins.
So great morning for Alex Gold. Can you imagine what it must have felt like to be DeAndre Hopkins? You wake up, alarm clock goes off. You got to go into the facility for a little bit of treatment at 10 a.m. You take a look at your phone, and your agent's like, yo, you're a Chief now. Instead, you're like, thank God. Like, what took so long? He's had Will Levis been throwing him the ball, Mason Rudolph for part of that. I mean, we were joking about the memes from Will Levis this entire time. The difference in my attitude going to work that day, it was like when we switched to FM. You know what? I'm working harder now. More people listening. I'm doing this for you.
We had Will Boling from our sister station, or at least the station, I think it is our sister station, in Nashville. And he said basically what you're kind of joking about, but there was some truth to that. That DeAndre Hopkins was disconnected on the sideline from the other skill position players because he was so frustrated with the situation. Not that he's a bad teammate by any means. Nobody's saying that, even in Nashville. But that it got to a point where, like, eventually you reach a point that you want out, right? You're not happy with your situation. And so the knee injury wasn't really the issue as much as it was the quarterback, the offense, frustration, all of that. Now you come to Kansas City, you got the best play caller in football, you got the best quarterback still in football, and you got a chance to add to your career. And I don't want to get into a Hall of Fame debate. I think when it's all said and done, D-Hop will be a Hall of Famer. I don't know about first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he will. But if he gets a ring, oh boy, there's your motivation. Like, I have no question that D-Hop's motivated. He gets a ring to his resume. His Hall of Fame case, of course, gets even stronger.
The only question I have about his motivation is DeAndre Hopkins, as you remember, around the time he was going to be a free agent, there was this whole story about, like, well, he wants to win. DeAndre Hopkins wants to win. And we sat here on this show and we're like, well, if you want to win, come here. And then he chose Tennessee. I'll be honest. That is not a move of I want to win. That is, I'll take the biggest check available to me at this moment, which he did.
And now he has both.
He
got paid and he's coming here.
But, like, we always talk about this. People have a different desire to win, a different work ethic to win. The standing on the sideline stuff, if you want to spin it in the negative, if you're on the outside looking in, you could spin it into, does he really want to win? His ass chose Tennessee. He had other teams on the market, teams that are winners on the market, and he chose to go to a known loser, a team that did not have a chance. And I know you can talk yourself into whatever the hell you want when the check's big and be like, no, they're going to figure it out. I'm sure. That was not the way that team looked like on paper.
But I've told you this, though, with a lot of these free agent conversations with wide receivers. We talk about, hometown discounts, they're taking less to win and all that. I think that applies on the margins. Like, you got
to be close to the number.
They're offering me an extra $1 million. Well, okay, I'll go ahead and go to the winner. But if they're offering me
an
2 years guaranteed, and it's $10 million more, well, I don't expect anybody to, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm leaving you if they're offering me 10 times the number for many more years. That's how everyone operates.
Of course. It's the reality of the world we live in.
I'm with you. The Titans offer was, and you remember the time we said this, that number was so big, like, whoo, have fun with that number, I guess, Tennessee. Kansas City, he was paid $8.3 million this year. He's already played 6 games for them. The prorated amount essentially puts Kansas City on the hook for $3 million this year. A little over $3 million. What they're paying, great.
Yeah, the Chiefs will have about $1 million, as you said, left in cap space. Now, because they're redoing the deal on Spot Track, like next year, there is no next year anymore, as far as I know. Initially, there was still money, but this is it. If you go to Spot Track right now, I mean, this is it. $5.6 million, the updated cap hit number for Kansas City, but it's actually a little bit less than that. But this is just based off of what Spot Track has updated in their system. There's 2024 accrued dead cap was 12, and then 2025 5.8. Unless Spot Track has this mislabeled, I read that as this is it. At one point, I thought he had money on the books in 2025, but maybe that changed.
Those dummy years probably just remain with Tennessee at this point. Kansas City was never going to trade for and has not signed really anybody to those false years down the road where essentially you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. They've continued to not do that kind of across the board, so I don't think that'd be the case. I'm not worried about it. What's your official guess stat prediction line for DeAndre Hopkins on Sunday?
I'll be honest. Ask me on Friday.
Friday?
Ask me on Friday because, honestly, much like Andy Reid, at this point in time, we don't know if he's playing, right, on Sunday.
I know nothing.
So I can't give you an answer until Friday on that. I need to know if he's playing Sunday.
He's playing on Sunday, isn't he?
I need to know for sure.
You're just playing the Andy Reid card? You're not going to give this is an opinion-based sports talk show.
I know nothing.
And now you're saying I know nothing? Andy can get away with that.
You're asking me today what his stat line's going to be.
I didn't say you're forced.
I'll give you the stat line on Friday.
Yeah.
Or tomorrow.
There's no over-unders.
I'm asking him for an over-under.
I don't know if he's playing. Is he going to play in 11 games or 10? There's a difference statistically.
I'll give you an over-under. 45 yards. 45 and a half.
No. He's in for the season.
That's why I meant for this year, for the game.
Oh,
45 and a half.
Oh, okay. I thought you were asking me to give you a season total. That's
I don't have a season total. You can wait on that one.
I can give you Sunday, sure. Yeah, 51 yards and no touchdowns.
Are you going over 45
I
and a half?
thought you were going to say touchdown there for a minute.
Are you going over 45 and a half, Cody? I mean, I guess yes.
Who else is he throwing to? I'm going over.
65 over under.
I mean, I told you 51.
Well, I'm saying for Cody.
65s are pretty. I mean, they don't even give that total to like
number
one wide receivers in this league.
If you think he gets 8 targets,
I think he's getting 6 to 8 targets. Yes.
Yeah, I thought you meant season numbers. That's why I'm like, no, I'm not giving you a season number. Friday, I'll give you a season number or whatever. That's fine. But
yeah, we can do
today,
that tomorrow or Friday.
I think an anytime touchdown is absolutely in the cards. Maybe even first. I think they get down to the red zone. They say, you know what? We brought this guy in to throw him the football, and we're gonna try to get him the ball in the red zone. First play, back shoulder, touchdown, Chiefs.
Oh, I have no doubt one of the first 5 plays of the game is going to DeAndre Hopkins. I have no doubt in my mind. Look at the Jets game on Sunday night, Drew. You watched it. Like Devontae, he dropped the wide open pass, but the first play, they had a play design, easy, simple throw. Rodgers out to Hopkins, out to Devontae Adams, and Adams just flat out dropped it.
Kareem Hunt's going to have a run from the 22 to the 13-yard line, and it's going to be a fade route to DeAndre. The very next play will be a fade route to DeAndre Hopkins for a touchdown.
I don't know about fade. I just didn't. That's
throw a lot of fades. I also hate a fade route.
I don't know if it'll be a fade, but he's getting touches on the first drive. 13
will be tough yard, but if they have the ball at the 5, it's a back shoulder. If I was Andy, I would say back shoulder throw.
We'll see.
Go win your matchup, DeAndre.
I was pretty worried it was just going to be MVS.
Here's the funny. You want to know the funniest?
DeAndre Hopkins.
Can I tell you the funniest scenario on Sunday? So they trade for DeAndre Hopkins. We're fired up. We're ready. Taking on the crappy Raiders. Justin Ross is elevated from the practice squad.
And he gets a touchdown?
Justin Ross
finally has a good game.
Justin Ross has a touchdown Sunday. Mark it. Book it. Justin Ross gets a touchdown on Sunday.
I don't even think by Friday he'll be able to bet that.
He will get a touchdown on Sunday just because the world is weird. And it won't be Hopkins. It'll be Justin Ross.
Him or Jody Fortson, I guess.
I think Ross would be the text line, man.
I think he might get elevated for the game on Sunday.
I just saw like a suggested follow, just real quick before, because I know we need to get to break. 913-586-7965. When the Kansas City Chiefs sign a new player, you go follow them on social media? I don't. They got to be around here a while.
No, I do.
D-Hop's not getting the follow for 10
Like,
games.
for example, Roland Wallace.
You know, you're not getting the follow, because they got to unfollow later, you know?
Roland Wallace had the pick. I didn't know who he was.
You would have found Roland Wallace?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Nice. Interesting. No,
absolutely.
He didn't
I already follow Hopkins. I mean, he's one of those players in the league. Yeah, I've already been following. He's just one of the players in the league. Just like I was following Juju before he came here. There's certain players, like I follow Malik Neighbors. I follow Justin. Like there's certain players on Instagram that are just big enough names.
I'm not a player follower guy.
I don't follow many.
I don't even follow Jamar Chase, believe it or not.
That's stunning. By the way, it's not like you're messaging with them. You're following their feed. It's like it's not. I mean, it sound like it's like
I think you slid into Wallace's DMs. What are you doing this weekend, man? Want to hang out?
Follow and you see their feed. That's how I was able to bring you the big news that DeAndre Hopkins 4 days ago basically told us he was coming to Kansas City.
Gold's going to hang out with Kristen Jones over the offseason. You know, he's setting up some plans.
I think it's a good time.
Well, I'm sure.
I bet so.
Sure. Up next, we'll get to what's trending, and then you'll hear our conversation with Ross Tucker. We asked him, of course, about DeAndre Hopkins and the move to Kansas City, plus the rest of the AFC and where the Ravens fit.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
What's up, Kansas City? It's Mitchell Schwartz. You know, there's nothing easier to enjoy than watching the Chiefs with some wings and an ice-cold Bud Light. And Buffalo Wild Wings is serving up both for for every game, all season long. Join me at the Buffalo Wild Wings located at 119th and String Road in Olathe on Friday, October 25th. I'll be there with the crew from 6 to 8 p.m. celebrating the back-to-back Super Bowl champs while eating some wings and drinking $5 Bud Lights. Nothing easier to enjoy than that. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. For more details, go to 965thefan.com. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
The NBA is back, and FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, wants you to catch all the action. Right now, FanDuel is giving all users 3 months of NBA League Pass. All you have to do to catch every tip-off and buzzer beater is place any $5 bet on the NBA. And who isn't excited to watch the Lakers this year with LeBron and Bronny playing together? If you're new to FanDuel, just visit FanDuel.com/610Bob to get 3 months of NBA League Pass courtesy of FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA and of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. After 3-month free trial, the full price of League Pass will be automatically charged monthly. Cancel anytime. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Limit 1 pass per customer. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
In support of breast cancer awareness, all the Twin Peaks girls will be switching it up with pink plaid on Tuesdays and Wednesdays this month. Come to your favorite lodge and show your support for this great cause. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Right now, 38 states allow for sports betting, including 7 of Missouri's neighboring states. Amendment 2 gives Missouri sports fans the freedom to bet on games too, and that will generate over $100 million for our schools without raising property taxes. Amendment 2 is endorsed by the Chiefs, Cardinals, Royals, Blues, and Missouri's 2 professional soccer teams, the KC Current and St. Louis City. These days, Republicans and Democrats don't agree on much, but the Republican and Democratic candidates for governor are both supporting Amendment 2 because it means more money for education. Amendment 2 isn't like the lottery. There's a strong constitutional guarantee. The new money from sports betting will go to our schools. $100 million for education without raising property taxes. Amendment 2 is endorsed by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and the Kansas City Star. Vote yes on 2. Paid for by Winning for Missouri Education. Mike Pridmore, Treasurer.
Guess what, people? Wendy's has new saucy nugs. You heard me. Wendy's nugs now come in 7 saucy flavors. Buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, spicy ghost pepper. You can literally hear your taste buds after every bite. I'm serious. Listen to mine. Okay, that's just me playing with sound effects, but you got the idea. For a whole new way to nug, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's. All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
It's time to review the top 3 highlights of the day. I'm joined as always by my co-anchor Snoop.
Hey, what up, though?
Snoop, number 1 has to be getting the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence at T-Mobile.
Yeah, you should hustle down to T-Mobile like a dog chasing a squirrel chasing a nut.
Nice analogy, Snoop. Dogs do love to chase squirrels.
And squirrels love to chase those nuts.
On to highlight number 2, at T-Mobile, families can save 20% every month versus the other big guys.
That is very impressive. You know, y'all can take some of those savings and buy some Snoop merchandise.
That's exactly what I'm planning on doing with my savings, Snoop. Now, take it away, Snoop.
Head to T-Mobile.com and get the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on them. Now drop that jingle.
24 monthly bill credits. Eligible trade-in on Go 5G Next. Well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 connection charge. Cancel entire account before receiving 24 bill credits, and credits stop and balance on required finance agreement too. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See how you can save versus the other big guys at T-Mobile.com/switch. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024.
Wow, honey, have you seen the electric bill?
Yeah, it's out of control. But have you heard of Navien tankless water heaters?
Tankless? How does that even work?
Well, instead of constantly heating and storing water, it only heats water when we need it. So much more efficient than our giant tank heater.
That sounds great. Let's look into Navien.
Already on it.
Imagine all the hot water you need only when you need it. Bulky tanks are history. Navien high-efficiency tankless is the future. Compact, wall-hung units free up floor space, lower energy bills, longer life than tanks, and a 15-year warranty. Find out more at tanklessmadesimple.com.
Chiefs coverage is brought to you by DuriVision. Schedule your free consultation today. DuriVision.com.
Make the best decision ever like I did. That was calling up DuriVision for a free consultation to find out how I can see better, and in my case, how I could get rid of my contacts and glasses. Give them a call, 913-491-3330, or go online to DuriVision.com.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. What's trending?
Number one on What's Trending is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. We start with the news today, the news of the day. DeAndre Hopkins, now a member of the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs trading for the veteran wideout from Tennessee. Tennessee gets a 2025 fifth-round pick. Could become a fourth-round pick, but it's all good, honestly, if that happens, because that only happens if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl and DeAndre Hopkins plays 60% of the snaps. Both things that I think the Chiefs will gladly have happen. The Titans also paying a little less than half of Hopkins' remaining $8 million salary.
He started at $8 million, probably a little over $3 million, but still, obviously, the Chiefs in desperate need of a wide receiver. Good deal overall. Obviously, both teams are probably happy with the result. Next up on What's Trending, Jameis Winston officially scheduled to start on Sunday for the Browns. That's after Deshaun Watson was lost for the season. But in the bigger news, probably from that's not surprising. Ken Dorsey will be taking over the play calling for the Browns. Kevin Stefanski announced earlier in his press conference. Kevin Stefanski's done a nice job with that offense, typically speaking, when it's not Deshaun Watson. He's going to hand over play calling duties to Ken Dorsey.
Yeah, Jameis now starting. And Ken Dorsey, your guy, man, flip that laptop and paper in the air, baby, when things aren't going right in that press box or in that coach's box.
It's like the only job, like we try to pretend like not just more testosterone, they're allowed to act like infants on the playing field. No, everybody has a job. You can act like an adult at your job.
Yeah, but you would agree the locker room, this isn't the locker room, but the same comparison, though. Like, you would agree that the locker room is a different workplace and what can be said there than if you're working a 9-to-5 job at State Farm. I mean, there's this reality of, like, we can act like everything's, like, black and white, clear as day, like, but it's not. Like, the locker room and the culture in that locker room is different than if I'm working in an insurance office. It just
particularly
is.
big hissy
I'm just saying. We know it's just hell. Our workplace, I can promise you, some of the stuff that people joke about and say in the bullpen area would not fly in other offices. It just everybody has that.
Some of it shouldn't fly here.
Well, okay, fine. Well, but I don't want to make it sound like we're saying terrible things. Now you're making it sound like there's like really bad things being said. Jeez, I'm talking about F-bombs flying all over the place from you before the show.
You can't say that, State Farm?
A lot of places you wouldn't be able to just openly cuss across the office. No.
Tough.
Anyway, next up on What's Trending, NBA got going last night. We saw the debut of LeBron James with his son. Bronny James made some history. Took the court 4 minutes left in the second quarter. First father-son duo to play in a regular season NBA game. 110-103 win, by the way, for the Lakers over the Timberwolves. It was a cool moment, but like,
little forced. Yeah. Doesn't feel as cool as the ones who like earned it.
More than a little forced. Yeah, I'm with you, man. That was forced.
This is not King Griffey Jr. and King Griffey Sr. Those are both
it was cool,
great Major League Baseball players.
It was cool that both King Griffey Sr. and Jr. were courtside. That part made it kind of cool.
TNT after the game on the box score, they had everybody sell, and then they put Bronny's down there and said, play 3 minutes. They didn't have to do that to Bronny. They didn't have to do that.
They gave him their moment. LeBron James has certainly earned the clout to try to convince the Lakers to do this, but it was forced. If he were any other player, he wouldn't have earned the spot on the bench for that game, but still cool to see a father and son. I actually just like it for like the parenthood stuff. Him sitting on the bench and said, you ready? Don't let the nerves. That stuff, that's cooler than the rest of it. Next up on What's Trending, Jaden Daniels officially not practicing today for the Washington Commanders, still suffering from that rib injury. There's still a possibility he could play on Sunday. I feel like it's more likely he's going to return next week. Obviously, it's not a serious injury, but the Rookie of the Year favorite not really up there yet today for practice. I'm guessing that opens up the door for Caleb Williams, who's been playing a lot better here lately as well.
It definitely could. That is What's Trending. here on Cody and Gold. Reminder, we're heading out to Las Vegas here right after the show today. And if you're going to be out there, we hope to see you guys. It's going to be a great time getting set for Chiefs and Raiders, which the game suddenly has a little more intrigue. I mean, look, the Chiefs are like 10-point favorites. They're going to be fine.
I just wanted to bury him for all the offseason
More intrigue with now DeAndre Hopkins perhaps making his Chiefs debut. Tomorrow, I'm sure we'll talk about some of the training camp comments, the whole Kermit the Frog thing, an idiot that decided to do that in training camp. That wasn't smart. On the Raiders side, plus the Christmas Day game. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But if you're going to be in Vegas any day, really the rest of the week, come on out to Circa Las Vegas. We'll be poolside Thursday and Friday, broadcasting live. We'll also be hosting a happy hour event Friday night at Circa at the Overhang Bar. And if you want our RSVP link, just shoot us a DM on Twitter or a message on Twitter. Also, text line 913-586-7965. We'll get you an RSVP link, which gets you a chance to win tickets. And by the way, the tickets to the game on Sunday are not cheap. I was looking them up, man. Cheapest just to get in the building, like crappiest seat in the house at Allegiant, $385 before fees. Last check. So, yeah, why not?
Circa hasn't told where the seats are, but I bet they're nice.
Yeah, I think you'll be all right. All right, earlier today, we had Ross Tucker join us, our Odyssey NFL insider, and we, of course, started the conversation asking him what he makes of the Chiefs adding DeAndre Hopkins to the mix.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say I'm not overly surprised. You know, the Chiefs have a truly unique opportunity this year to do something, obviously, that no one's ever done. I think, you know, they were probably already going this route, but then the Juju Smith-Schuster hamstring injury, I don't even know how bad it is, but I think they just thought, we really got to get somebody else in here. And I love the fit, by the way, for two reasons. One is, you know, for Hopkins, he has made so much money. I mean, he's made so much money that this is sort of the icing on his career, the cherry on top, whatever you want to call it. Like, he has a chance, and he knows it, to really stamp his legacy even more. I don't know if he's a Hall of Fame player, but I think he probably thinks he's in the mix or close with the numbers he's put up. So this certainly would help that quite a bit, I'm sure, in his mind. And then, you know, and to go from Mason Rudolph and Will Levis to Mahomes, I mean, come on. The thing I like about, though, is Hopkins is one of those guys, he's always open, even when he's not open, because of his catch radius. I was like amazed when I met him, and he's like 6'1.5". If you ever watch a game where he plays, you feel like he's 6'4", 6'5". Like he's that long and he's that good in contested catch situations. Really curious to see how quickly Mahomes feels comfortable to just throw him the ball when he's in any situation, especially near the sideline, especially back shoulder throws, because he's just he's one of the best we've ever seen in terms of boundary receivers and contested catch guys. And so I think that's the thing I'll be watching the most, is how quickly, you know, Patrick sort of feels comfortable firing those throws to him when he doesn't have a ton of separation.
Maybe not for this Sunday and the short timeline to get ready, although it sounds like they're going to try to have him at least maybe play somewhat on Sunday. But long-term now with this trade, what do you think is realistic to expect for him? We know this is not DeAndre Hopkins from 2020 when he was 28 years old. He's also dealing with a little bit of a knee injury. So what do you think is realistic to expect from him?
Yeah, I don't think, just the way the Chiefs are constructed, I don't think he's going to put up huge numbers, huge fantasy numbers for people that are into those things. I think he's just going to allow them to get a few more explosive plays and to be able to convert some third downs that they were struggling to convert at times. You know, I think when you have a guy like this, and it's funny because the Buffalo Bills were kind of going through the same thing. You need a guy on the outside that can consistently win against man coverage, and that's Hopkins. And the Bills didn't really have that guy, which is why they got Cooper. DeAndre Hopkins can still do that, but he's also he's got a little bit of Kelsey in his game, and that he's super savvy against zone as well. I just think it's a really, really good fit. We'll see. You know, sometimes it takes a little bit of time for guys like that to be able to click together since they haven't worked together, but that's why doing it now, I think, is a good move because obviously they're going to be in the playoffs. They get a lot of time to really kind of get in sync before January.
Sometimes we make it like just a physical game, which certainly football is, but there's a mentality part to it too. Ross, you've been a midseason acquisition. You've seen players acquired or traded midseason. How much extra juice does it add to like DeAndre Hopkins just be like, thank God it's not Will Levis? Like getting on that plane, I would think, would motivate you in a way that you have not been all season.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was different. I was just happy that somebody signed me, still wanted me, or traded for me, or whatever the case would have been. I will say this, just side note. First time I got cut, I got picked up the next day on waivers by the Cowboys in October, like right around now. And I went to the Cowboys, and I was amazed with state income tax how much more my check was in Dallas than it was in Washington. I was like, man, this getting fired thing is pretty good. Like, this is a pretty good deal. Not that I would recommend it, but he's actually doing the opposite, right? You guys have state income tax? So
we do.
Go from Nashville where they don't have it to you guys where they do?
That's right. And a 1% earnings tax, too, on top of it. Yeah.
Well, listen, like I said earlier, he's made so much money. There's no question he's fired up. It's by far the best chance he's had in his career to win a Super Bowl, to even play in one. You know what I mean? Like, and I know he wants to win it, but to my knowledge, I have to look it up again. Has he ever even been in an AFC championship game? You know, like, to be able to be in a situation like this where he has a chance to really do some cool things that he's never experienced before. You know, I mean, he's had some good moments in Arizona and some good moments in Houston, but not like this. Not like where he has a chance to play in a conference championship game, to play in a Super Bowl, to experience those things. I mean, I never got to do either one of those things, and it's disappointing, you know, because I want to be able to talk about it when it's that time of year, and I wanted to be able to experience that, and I never got a chance to, and now he's obviously got a golden opportunity to experience it.
We're talking to Ross Tucker, our Odyssey NFL insider here on 96.5 The Fan. Doesn't this also, the fact this trade happens, prove that a lot of the discussion that nobody will trade with the Chiefs, or you're going to have to pay a super premium to make it happen? They're like, that's just not true. Like, the Chiefs have been able to pull off these trades.
I have no idea why anybody ever said that or would think that. That makes no sense. Every general manager should solely do what's best for them. You know, what's best for their team. And what we're seeing here is that you have to assume that the fifth that could be a fourth was the best option that Rand Carthon could get, and it's why he did it. You know, I'm sure he'll say something about wanting to do right by DeAndre and Chiefs are good operators. Like, I'm sure he'll say that, but I don't know that I believe it. And I don't even know that I think that's the right thing to do. I think the right thing to do is whatever's best for the Titans.
How long do you think the Chiefs will stay undefeated, Ross? I'm curious because you look at the rest of the AFC, same four teams, no mystery. I mean, it's the Ravens, it's the Chiefs, it's the Bills. How long do you think they'll maintain undefeated before you think they have a chance to lose? The Bills?
When is that?
That's 3 weeks. So they would take on, this week they would take on the Raiders in Vegas. Then Monday Night Football against the Bucs. That game looks dramatically different. And then they have the Panthers. So you can just go ahead and write that one in.
And then
the Bills.
The Bills?
Yep.
Yeah, I think if they beat the Bills, then we can start to have that conversation. And I think there's another conversation to be had there, which is, do you even want to do it? Because, you know, they're going to, if that's the case, they get to 14-0, they'll probably have clinched home field advantage at that point.
Right.
So do they want to play those 3 more games? Is it worth the injury risk? I mean, they're already going for the 3 Super Bowl history. I don't know if they need to have the history of undefeated as well. I mean, that would be a heck of an accomplishment. The same year to be the first team to ever go undefeated and get your third Super Bowl, then nobody could ever say anything to any Chief, anybody from Kansas City, anybody that's ever even been to the state of Missouri ever again for the rest of their lives.
It would be the end of the GOAT conversation somehow. Like, I feel like it would surpass Tom Brady. And by the way, I got it mixed up. They'll actually take on Denver before taking on Buffalo. Then they have the Panthers after Buffalo.
So what if they beat Buffalo, what would their record be?
Their record then would be 10-0. And then their remaining schedule, and I'm not kidding, would be Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, and the Raiders and Chargers would be at home. Cleveland, a tough game against Houston, at Pittsburgh, and at Denver.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll lose to either the Bills, Texans, or Steelers, but they're going to have a really good record this year. That's for sure. I mean, it's remarkable. Although I don't know, last year they didn't have a record and they still won it. But you certainly would want to have the walk. You want to have the home field advantage in the bye. It would certainly make it a lot easier. And maybe because of that. Maybe that would give Andy more reason to play the guys in the regular season, knowing that they're going to get the bye anyway.
Right. Yeah, that's the point that I brought up yesterday when we were discussing how they would handle the last week of the season if they were in that spot. Like, you're not going to give them 2 weeks off. Then you get worried about the whole Russ conversation. I don't know if you believe in that or not as a former player, if you think that's something that actually would be a concern at that point. Let me ask you real quick about the Baltimore Ravens. Right now, I mean, Lamar Jackson is playing better than anybody in football at that position. But we've seen this before, right? Like, isn't it understandable to be skeptical about what this actually means for the Ravens' chances to win a Super Bowl? Because ultimately it's going to be, how does he perform in January?
Yeah, and that's the same conversation I had yesterday with the Odyssey station in Buffalo about Josh Allen. The Bills and the Ravens are eerily similar to me. They're both really good. They've both been really good. They both have MVP caliber quarterbacks who are top 5 in the world and give them a chance to win every game. But they got to do it now in January. I mean, Burrow's done it once, at least beating Mahomes and getting to the Super Bowl. Now it's time for either Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen to do it. And I think that they can, but to be honest with you, their best chance to do it was last year.
Right.
When the Chiefs weren't as good and the Chiefs had to go to Buffalo and to Baltimore. I mean, that was their best chance last year. Maybe it'll happen this year, but it's not like they're going to be in a better situation this year than they were last year.
Yeah, likely they'll be facing the games on the road. It's just like it's the same teams just kind of in repeat. Is there a team you think could sneak back up? Are you a believer in like Cincinnati's chances to come back? I just don't think they're a very good football team, but is there someone in the AFC you think re-enters this conversation?
Cincinnati and Houston, I'll give them each a chance. Cincinnati's defense, so their offense, Burrow and the receivers have been amazing pretty much the whole time. It's just their defense was terrible the first month, but they've been much better the last 2 games. So that gives them a chance. And we know they've had some success against the Chiefs. And then I think the Texans, they just have enough firepower that they could do it. Their O-line is not pass protecting very well. That's their biggest issue. But any of those teams have a chance against the Chiefs in a one-game scenario. And, it's just crazy. If you go through and you look at all of the Chiefs playoff games the last 4 years, how many, one play here goes different, one play there, situations there are, and yet the Chiefs came out on top in all of them except for the Bengals one, like the Bengals overtime one. And so everybody kind of has a batting average in those games. You're not going to win them all. It's just the Mahomes batting average in the January and, December and February football games, it's just incredibly high to think, because it's not like they've been blowing people out. It's like these have been one-score close games. It's, I would say they're tempting fate a little bit, and that it's unlikely that they can continue to win way more than their fair share of these one-score could go either way based on one play games. It's remarkable what they've done.
Ross Tucker, our Odyssey NFL insider. Good to chat with you again, man. Enjoy the week, and we'll check in next week.
Sounds great. See you guys.
That was Ross Tucker again joining.